It is.
All right, folks, welcome in Yankees Unloaded. I'm Jake Ellenbogen. He is Gary Sheffield Jr., and the Yankees are one win away from sweeping the Guardians, something that I've been told is not physically possible with this team, beating above 500 teams. But you know what? The Yankees have hung in there for better or for worse, and big ups to this bullpen. And honestly, I think they need to call up somebody immediately, maybe even 2 or 3 guys, because everyone's arms are going to fall off simultaneously at this point. It's insane.
Jake, you ready to pitch? You ready to go? Boone would use me like Scott Proctor if he put me in the game. Let's be
Boone's
real.
just taking guys out of the stands like, hey, have you ever thrown a baseball before? Yeah. All right, cool. You're on the mound next. Like, it's insane. Dude, such gutsy performances, and obviously I can give credit where credit's due to the bullpen as a whole. Anytime you only get 4 innings out of your starting pitcher, and you can thank Anthony Volpe for that dreadful inning with Garrett Cole, you only get 4 innings out of him. And by the way, I agreed with it. He had 83 pitches. He's still coming back. This is his 4th start. Anytime you're in that position, now you got to get 5 innings out of your bullpen. That's a lot of pressure, Gary, especially when this team isn't scoring runs in this game. Obviously, I know they scored 7 last night. I will give them credit.
And it was a labored 83 pitches, by the way. We've always talked about that. There's a difference between throwing 83 pitches on schedule and 83 pitches where you see 20, 25 pitch innings. We saw that often where Cole was almost, so it looked like an Aroldis Chapman inning where he's just practically sweating his way through. Thankfully, early in the game, we got a pitch clock violation on an offensive player. But, I mean, let's be real here. Garrett Cole really had to come out of the game due to the circumstances. It is what it is. And Aaron Boone loves to go to his pen anyway. So, when your bullpen pitches well, that is a match made in heaven for our manager. And, guys, we're going to get to this whole Anthony Volpe situation. But I want to talk about what we saw from Garrett Cole because he gave us a little wrinkle today. He was going to that high slider, which before the ABS system, I don't really feel like that was a weapon, at least not for him. And now that the high strike is more of a weapon and guys are more cognizant of that pitch, I think I like that. The fact that Garrett Cole, he's just such a student of the game where he's just going to, let me try to manipulate the new situation that we're in. I loved it. But yeah, when you look up and you see that we got less than 5 from Garrett Cole, it's not great. But if you watch this game, the defense was just dog water behind him. It wasn't any good at all. And again, we'll get to it.
Yeah, no, we definitely will. Got to give credit where credit's due, a tip of the cap to one of my favorite Yankees out there. And he's been one of my favorites. I've been following him since, his days in college and really liked him coming out of the draft. Was hoping the Yankees would draft him. No, I'm not talking about Aaron Judge, who literally had the same thing. I loved him at Fresno State, was hoping he'd go to the Yankees. I'm talking about Spencer Jones, who finally got, as he said, the monkey off his back. 2 for 4 today, putting him at a 278 batting average. All of a sudden, it's funny because
how's the whiff rate?
Yeah,
how about that?
Exactly, right. But no, Spencer Jones, huge home run, 443 feet. The third furthest home run hit by a Yankee this season. The other 2 are, of course, Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. Good company to be in. 112 miles per hour off the bat. Jones then he ripped one right up the middle for a base hit. His grounders, I mean, they get out of the infield in a hurry. That was really good to see. In addition to that, Jazz Chisholm. I kind of felt for Jazz today. When you hear everybody, and I mean, he fed off it and it worked out for him, but everyone, you heard that chant, overrated. Like they were getting in on Jazz. Jazz ends up sending them home packing, essentially, in the 8th inning, hitting a go-ahead home run, absolutely launched it. So happy for him. Ryan McMahon, I'm also happy for. He shot his batting average up to 220, and he went 2 for 3 today. And he's used a little bit of the opposite field here. Look, looking at this team, being able to put up 8 hits today. They probably should have scored more than 3 runs, but that's what happens when you have Anthony Volpe playing over Jose Caballero and you have a black hole at catcher. JC Escarra, You might like him. You might like his personality. Some people like his smile. He's not very good. He's just not. And so the 162 batting average kind of coincides with that. But now Anthony Volpe hitting 190, starting to come back down to earth. The sad thing is that 243 Anthony Volpe seems to be a long, long ways away. And he seems to be kind of just, this is who he is. So we're going to talk about it. But Gary, I wanted to start off before we get into Garrett Cole, we get into the game. I want to start off with what came before all of this. Okay. And look, I will tell you this right now. When it comes to talking Yanks, I don't really have a lot of time to consume media that's not our own stuff, like editing and everything. I just don't. Right. But I did get a chance to watch some of that interview. And I gotta say, they were professional about it. Aaron Boone was not professional about it. And it's like,
what was the question? Can you refresh everyone's memory?
Yeah.
For those of you who didn't see it, can you just let them know what was asked?
Yeah. So, I mean, Jake was basically saying something along the lines of, so Caballero, is he at short? And he's like, nope, Volpe's at short. He's like, oh, is he in right field? Nope. Is he in, like, he just kept asking. And Boone's like, no, he's not in the lineup today. And so then they kind of, were kind of questioning it. Like, all right, well, why is Volpe getting all this runway? And Caballero is your best shortstop or something along those lines, right?
Right, clearly.
And basically Boone said, I make the lineup, and the usual, right? Defending Volpe. Here's my problem. He then goes on to say he's been unlucky. He's had good at-bats and he's been unlucky. Oh, you didn't know that.
What?
Yeah, he's had good at-bats and he's been unlucky. And he's been good in the field. And it's just gotten to the point, Gary, this is why I had to make, is Aaron Boone holding back the Yankees with his backing of Anthony Volpe? As, I had to make this the prompt. Because, Gary, I'm at the point where the Yankees just won a 3-2 ball game. A very, very tough win on the road against a good Cleveland Guardians team. And all I wanted to do all day, since I texted you about this, is talk about this. Because that can't be acceptable from the fan base. We have to push back on that. We just do. That can't be allowed. You can't be allowed to get away with that. That is absolutely ridiculous. So, yeah, John Boy said, can you put him in for me? That was funny when they were talking about Caballero. He's like, he's not in the lineup. And John Boy's like, well, can you put him in for me? Totally agree with you, John Boy. But here's the deal, okay? We just went over this with Trent Grisham, the lack of luck and whatever, right? Here's the thing. And I want to make this perfectly clear. I'm not giving Trent Grisham, defense here. But to be fair to the analytics guys, right? They actually use data. They use supporting evidence in their mind to do it.
There's at least a chart that says, hey, why do you feel the way that you feel?
Yes.
Here's a chart, and we think it's obviously silly to just simply
bring
say,
it up,
well, the
Gary.
chart says this, therefore I think this.
Let's take a look.
Pull up the chart. Absolutely. Go ahead and do that.
So this is Trent Grisham, okay? And before, it was pretty much similar. Maybe it was a bit higher, but the expected was, this is fine. Like, we can get along with this. I'm not hating on this, right? Here's the problem. Now you do Anthony Volpe, and his expected numbers aren't good. So it's just basically just rubbish. He's
you know
just
what Michael K had to say about this?
He's just tossing
They have analytics
out
that we don't have. That's
well,
that. So essentially,
you know what I would say about
Jake,
this?
the actual numbers can be bad. The baseball savant numbers can be bad.
Yeah.
Meaning we can get poor analytics, poor on-field performance, and then the Yankees are just privy to information that we just can't see. So really what it means is they can draw any conclusion they want. We can doesn't matter what we're watching. A player could hit 0-10. We
talked about this. It's literally the NBA fan that's like, well, he's good at defense. And it's like, how are you going to dispute that? Like, if you don't watch every single game, you probably don't know whether or not the guy's actually having a good year defensively.
He was making errors, and he was leading the league at shortstop in errors. And people said, well, the defensive metrics, the errors is one thing. Because they try to get us into this, well, Derek Jeter was making a lot of errors, and he was winning gold gloves. And people said, well, The defensive analytics said he wasn't as good. There's no analytic and opinion here that you can even shape for Anthony Volpe. Nobody. You can't go to Fox Sports. You can't go to ESPN. You can't go to Amazon. You can't go to any coverage and put Volpe on screen and say, yeah, he's got this strength. Jake, let's go over this player real quick, because here's what the savant will say all of this. It really, you don't need me to say it. I'll say it anyway. Anthony Volpe has a weak arm. He's a second baseman physically. He plays shortstop. Why? Because the Yankees said he was going to be the shortstop years ago. That's why he's there. He doesn't charge the baseball to make up for it. He's not a consistent contact hitter. He's a 222 career hitter in almost 1,800 at-bats. He's not a power bat. Again, 1,800 at-bats, 53 jacks. That's not a lot. It's not. Also, even more importantly, he's not cheap. He's not on a rookie contract anymore. We just went through arbitration with this player. He makes $3.5 million a year. Has no defensive versatility. Some people told me, oh, he could go play second base. Second base where? Jazz Chisholm plays second base.
And also, we don't know if he can play second base yet. To be fair, that's us projecting. That's us like, oh, we've been told he's taking grounders over at second base. Well, hey, Paul Goldschmidt takes grounders at shortstop. Is he now a shortstop? Like, that's ridiculous to just automatically give him the qualification of he can play second base.
It's an assumption based on that second base is an easier defensive position than shortstop. And it's true. It is easier to play second base than shortstop. Having said that, does it simply mean that a bad defensive shortstop just inherently becomes a good defensive second baseman? No, it isn't. There's nothing tools-wise anyone can share with us that Anthony Volpe is worth not just a spot as a starter, a spot on the roster. He's not. And I know people keep telling me you should send him to Scranton. You should send him to Double-A. My God. No. There's nothing to develop here. You develop tools. That's the point of the minor leagues. That's why Spencer Jones was down at the minor league level. The Yankees wanted to develop his skill set. He now is here putting his skill set on the field where you see a ball go 443. That's the bat speed. That's the getting a barrel. Anthony Volpe can't even do those things. I'm sorry. This is obviously poor general management from Brian Cashman. That said, if I'm the manager, and I never will be, Jake, who gives a rat's ass if he's on your roster? He shouldn't play ever. We have a deep enough bench to have guys go up to the plate and come off the bench for an at-bat. What do we need Anthony Volpe for?
It's funny because Jose Caballero has like no analytics here, but you know what?
No, and he hits well, and his ops is still around 700. He doesn't slug worth a lick.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't really care. We do not care. We
don't Jose
care
Caballero
so
isn't
much.
a great player either, by the way. He's just better.
We do not care.
Jose Caballero's not a great baseball player. Jake, you called him a glue guy. He's not even really that. You know what it is? In comparison to the replacement, he's Lou Gehrig. He's Lou Gehrig in comparison to Volpe. And when you
that's something.
Goodness.
That's something.
So much better. Instead of a black hole getting something, which Jose Caballero, his ops tells you he's league average. Replacing Volpe with a league average player, Jake, is massive for the Yankees.
So I just showed everybody, you had Peraza, you had B-Boss, you had Caballero, Ahmed Rosario. Anthony Volpe wasn't even supposed to be in the same stratosphere as these guys. And I mean in a good way. He was supposed to be so far leaps and bounds. He shouldn't be comparable to anybody. He should have been like top tier. And here we are now talking about how we don't want a 25-year-old who was drafted 30th overall, who was their top prospect, number 6 in baseball. It has gone so poorly. And we're sitting here today. I mean, we thought this saga was over. He comes back, looks like he's starting to hit, right? And he's changed his swing a little bit, and he's walking. Little did we know he was walking because he was just hitting in front of Austin Wells.
I think you and I could have walked. Really.
And by the way, also genius on Aaron Boone's part to not put him back there after he was having success in that spot. He moved him up to 7th or 6th. It's like, what are you doing? But anyway, here's the thing. We were okay with Anthony. You and I both. We were okay with Anthony Volpe playing if he contributed. We're not like anti-Anthony Volpe. We're just pro having guys that can actually, contribute.
Oh my Jesus.
And so, Gary, this is ridiculous, man. This is absolutely insane. We're talking about the New York Yankees right now, who are 66 games through the season, okay? And we're talking not about the fact that they just won a really important game against the Guardians. No, we're talking about the fact that their manager is back on his bullshit about obsessing over Anthony Volpe.
This is an Aaron Boone problem. This is not an Anthony Volpe problem. Yes.
It's not Volpe's fault. How can we blame Volpe? He's trying to just make it work. And he's also never once done anything like he'd never deflected like Jazz has done before.
No, he's
didn't. He's always taken responsibility. But the reality is we're not mad at him. He just is what he is. Aaron Boone, I'm pissed off at. Because the fact that this is even happening again, like now this has become insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results when the results are actually getting worse. They are different.
Can I ask you a question?
They're worse now.
I actually have a real question for you. If an NFL wide receiver, and for the most part, a lot of us watch football, if a receiver has no hands whatsoever, and the offensive coordinator decides, let's drop a play and throw it to that receiver in crunch time, and the ball's proceeded to be dropped again, who's at fault here? The coordinator.
Nelson Aguilar.
Yeah.
You set me up way too
I sure
well
did. I sure did. Low-hanging fruit. The coordinator's the jackass. The coordinator. Yeah. You don't drop a play for somebody who can't catch the goddamn football. That's your fault. You use the personnel that works. And if it doesn't work, you say, oh, okay, I went to my strength and we're out of luck. The Yankees are going to a player. They're going to a well. There's no water there. That's not on Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe's trying his absolute hardest. You think he doesn't want to be a great player for the New York Yankees? He works hard.
Yeah.
But when you don't have a strong arm and your coach says, yeah, go over and play short, ball's thrown to you in a double cut to go home, you don't have the skill set to get the ball and the money there. You don't. So for anyone to expect anything more, don't get upset at the player that's trying to play well who can't. Get mad at the person who keeps putting him there. And I see the jokes before the show of, oh, he's the coach's son, and oh, he's got nudes of all these jokes, right?
Mm-hmm.
The question is this. We need to discover why. What is the why for the Yankees right now? Joel Sherman tried to get out in front of the why. Hey, this isn't going well. What's going on? What's the process here? Why is he still in the position that he's in? Brian Cashman rejected it. You saw that. Total rejection. What are you going to say when he starts playing well? He didn't play well. Did Brian Cashman say, hey, Joel was right? No.
And they never will.
No, he never will.
That's why he's able to talk the way he does, Gary.
For me.
You bring this up a lot on social media, how people will go out of their way, air quotes needed, out of their way to make a take and be like, if he doesn't win the NBA Finals, he sucks. And guess what? What's going to happen to them? Are they going to lose their job? No. If they're wrong, life goes on. They might get, outed by, freezing cold takes. And that's the end of it. It's not like they die. It's not like they lose their job. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brian Cashman.
It's my favorite account, by the way. It's so funny.
I know. Brian Cashman literally is just like, yeah, I'm going to say this. And then it would actually hurt me if I ever went back and was just like, oh yeah, you were right, Joel. Sorry for being a prick. No, he's not going to do that. He's just going to bury it under other stuff and say how he was right when this. And that's what they do. They all do that. Not all of them, but most of them. Most of the executives in sports, they won't tell you that they got, oh yeah, we got that player wrong. You know what they'll do? They'll tell you when they got a player right. They'll be like, they won't even acknowledge that what you're saying is correct. before Joel Sherman can even say, hey, by the way, about Anthony Volpe, I was right. He'd say, I was right about Fernando Cruz. And we also got Juan Soto. Like, they will push the envelope as far as possible. Here's my
We've already talked about the things
I'm going to
that he's done
defend
right.
Cashman
we talked
here,
about,
by the way.
Oh, how?
I don't think Cashman actually cares as much as Boone does. This is a Boone issue. As I've said, and I've been very consistent on this. I don't like Cashman, as you know. I've been very consistent on this, though, Gary. I believe Cashman is in charge of the roster, who gets called up, who gets set down, all of that. Yep. I believe he gives Boone the pieces, and Boone configures it how he wants to. So as long as these guys are on the roster from Cashman, now it's up to Boone. It is literally a baton handed over to the next guy. So
yeah,
right
that's
now,
most situations, yes.
I don't believe that Brian Cashman is sitting here like, we got to play Anthony Volpe. As a matter of fact, I think they were pretty resigned to the fact that Anthony Volpe was even going to be a part of this team. And I think Boone, once again, I think he loves this kid. I think he loves Anthony Volpe. I think he knows he's been a part of his career early on. I think there is some favoritism here, and that shouldn't be considered crazy because I think there's favoritism with Trent Grisham. I think there's favoritism with Giancarlo Stanton. I think there's definitely a lot of favoritism here, and Anthony Volpe is just one of a dozen that we can talk about. But here's the thing, Gary. I don't believe that Cashman is the one pulling the strings here about getting Anthony Volpe in the lineup. I think this is where Boone has completely gone off cruise control. He completely has lost the plot. He's lost the plot in the fact that he got some really good play out of Caballero when Anthony Volpe, the best ability is availability, wasn't available, right? And then to start the season, he struggled, but then it didn't take that long for him to kick into gear, and he was huge. And we talk about the glue guy. We know Caballero can be that guy. We know Volpe can't be that guy because Volpe never is that guy.
What did Brian Cashman say to the media, by the way? You remember when Jose Caballero was already hitting. He was already raking at that point. On his way up, what did Cashman say to the media when they asked about the return of Anthony Volpe? What did he say he was going to be when he returned?
He said he would be the starter?
He would be the starting shortstop.
But I don't think
what
that
general
was
manager
his
in
plan.
baseball says someone's starting? Who?
And I also think, to be fair, I think they shaded off that. And now I think Boone is back in love with it. I'm telling you,
I cannot give Aaron Boone all the flack when Brian Cashman told me he's the starter. I think they're both the problem, to be honest with you.
Oh, well, I'm
not talking about this other stuff. There's clearly other stuff that Brian Cashman's a problem with, clearly.
Yeah.
But when your GM, and I've just never seen a GM come out here and say, yeah, that guy who struggled for the past 3 years, and he won a Gold Glove all those eons ago, but he's playing awful. He's enemy number one. We also have this guy playing really well at the position. Yeah, so how excited are you for that player to come back? Oh, we're so excited. What's he going to be? Oh, he's the shortstop. And then all of a sudden the guy comes through the door and he's the starting shortstop. How am I just going to look at the manager? I'm looking at both of you. It looks like this is a big hive mind.
They had an argument when he came up. It immediately was impacting games, walking, hitting, different approach. That lasted all of about a week and a half.
I was going to say that was like 4 games off and on.
And now he's really kind of just showing us this is who he is. I mean, I know it's only 63 at bats, but 190,
he
301, 286, 587 OPS. We can't have another catcher in the lineup. He's another catcher. He's another Yankee catcher right now in the lineup. Now, to be fair to Boone, because I don't want to just entirely just bag on him here, I do think Volpe has had some moments where it looks like he's hitting the ball better than he did last year. I think the contact is better. But guess what? I don't care about the luck anymore. We've already established that in Yankees Unloaded. We don't believe in luck because guys like, you look at the Tampa Bay Rays, I think it discredits everything that they're about. I think it discredits guys like Ernie Clement. Guys just hit it where they aren't, right? Like, look at, for instance, Paul Goldschmidt. You know how many of those hits, Paul Goldschmidt, he can lace one down the line. He can.
Of course.
But also the thing that makes Paul Goldschmidt a 281 hitter, which he is this year, is the one where he basically, it's like a quarterback when you have the second, the second level of the defense. We're talking about the linebackers, and they're playing the middle of the field. And the quarterback now, his job, he has a guy open, but he can't just throw a laser to him because the linebacker could pick it off. So what do? You loft it over. You throw what we call, this is layering. So you layer the ball over the second level, and you get it to your open receiver who's available in the third level of the field. Well, guess what? That's what Goldschmidt does with his bat. He layers it over the shortstop. That actually takes skill. That's a certain level of hitting. Bellinger's mastered that, right?
Obviously, this isn't archery. The guys
Bregman,
aren't exactly, let me aim it right there.
Yeah.
That's not what this is. But there's certainly some skill to what you watch from Tony Gwynn. Tony Gwynn would go out there. He wasn't hitting the ball 95 into the gap every time.
And
a lot
Luis
of times
Arias is a champion for that.
Right. Sometimes it's just a ball sprayed out into the outfield. Anthony Volpe, with the metrics, say he's not a good baseball player. The metrics, those are the analytics nerds. Metrics say this guy's not very good. The literal numbers say this guy's not very good. You can say that Brian Cashman's a major problem for making the decision to put him on the roster in the first place. That's where I'm at. He just shouldn't be on the roster at all. Then Aaron Boone, despite him being on the roster, you don't have to use him. Just because he's a button to press, sometimes you need to know when not to press a button. And that's also part of managing. And I feel like Boone, you brought this up pre-show, he's getting defensive about his choices.
Well, he's always defensive, but yeah.
What are you defensive for? Everyone has your back, and you're unfireable, my guy. What are you defensive about?
That is interesting. When you come from a perspective of, I can't lose my job, I'm loved by everybody that I work with, why do you care what two guys who do a podcast have to say? Like, why would you get that defensive?
Just answer John Boy's question. Who gives a shit? Answer the question.
Yeah.
He asked you a question because he's a fan of the game. If any one of us had a mic and we said, hey, here's my question, and you're just going to push it off like, well, I'm the manager. Well, I know you're the manager. That's why I'm talking to your ass. I'm talking to you because I think you could have information. And as a fan, I know the difference between a good baseball player and a bad one. So when I ask you, why doesn't Jose Caballero get it? Why doesn't he get a few more days at shortstop back where he was playing really well? We all know he played well. So for us to sit up here, look at the stats on the Jumbotron, just ignore those numbers, and then have them get upset at us for asking the question as media people. What are we doing here? Just tell us you don't want to do the media. Go manage in Cincinnati. Nobody will ask any of these questions. Nobody cares. Just go to Miami. Yeah. I promise you, Marion's in our comments a lot. Mm-hmm. She's a Marlins fan. We're not sure if she likes our Yankees. We're not sure, but we know she loves the show. And Marion, we appreciate it. Marion, tell me, how many people cover the Marlins and ask these type of questions and badger about, why is this guy who's played well, why is he not playing? But the guy who's awful for 3 years in a row, he plays every day. Why? Nobody asks those questions. So if you don't like this, Aaron Boone, just go do that. And I wouldn't say he's a god-awful manager. There's certainly some things that I feel like he does well. But some of these choices with having, really, it just feels like a bone to pick with some guys on the roster and then just a total hard-on for other guys on this team. Just despicable. There's no excuse for it. And for Aaron Boone to make it seem like we're all just morons asking basic questions that are all emotional, just play the obvious guy. It's, I don't know how many times I got to tell you.
Yeah, I mean, I did see Andrew Connors here, and I'll highlight him here. Appreciate you being in the show. Gary and Jake, is it possible Cabby is hurt? Boone is trying to hide it again like Judge this year and Volpe last year. Apparently Cashman has no idea what's going on. It's certainly possible, but here's the thing.
It's a good question.
We have gotten to the point where you and I'm not going to have revisionist history here. We're not going to do that on this show. You and I both went to bat for Anthony Volpe when he looked like he was maybe finding something. We weren't saying that he's 100% going to work out. We weren't saying he's going to be a star. I actually went on record and said, you know what? He's not even going to be Dansby Swanson. But if he's this, whatever he was doing at the time, like 250 and walking a lot, I will take that because he's at the bottom of the lineup.
You said play him till it stops.
Exactly. Well, it's now stopped for 2 weeks. Now it just looks ridiculous because now you had me on your side when he was hitting. You had me on your side when he was getting on base and he was walking and he was having some really important plays, as a base runner, right? And he had some nice moments in the field. I'm not saying great, but it's some nice moments. But now you almost lost this game because of Anthony Volpe. Let's not let's not stretch the truth here. Anthony Volpe went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts today. Popped out to the catcher on a pitch that was right down the plate. It was a meatball. Pops out to the catcher.
You would have thought the baseball, by the way, that ball that was hit and he just jumped out of the way, you would have thought it was a live grenade. Get in front of the baseball and block the ball.
I didn't even get a chance to talk about that. 0 for 4, 2 strikeouts, popped out to the catcher, and now we're talking about a guy who Garrett Cole is getting out of this inning. It's not a great inning, but, and remember, I don't know if it was Jazz, if it was Volpe. There wasn't really much communication, and so all of a sudden Ramirez steals second. And it's one of those blink and you'll miss it moments where it's there's 2 outs. Oh, yeah, defensive indifference or whatever the hell, right? He steals second. Well, guess what? It doesn't matter if you field the baseball. Anthony Volpe dodges the baseball like it's dodgeball, gets out of the way, and Jose Ramirez scores. So that meaningless stolen base with 2 outs that shouldn't have mattered ends up mattering a ton. It's now 2-1, and it keeps Cole having to work. This is the issue with that inning. That should have been prevented. It completely changed the course of the game. And Gary, I'm going to go further here. This might seem a little unfair, but I don't care.
It won't.
The fact that Garrett Cole had to pitch 20 more pitches, right? He gets taken out 4 innings. That forced Blackburn, Hill, Doval, Bird, and Cruz to all go. Let's see. What was it? Last night, 7-5 game, extra innings. You pitched Hedrick, Blackburn, Yarbrough, Bird, Doval, Hill, Bednar. Okay? You just
was
pitched
4 hours.
So many of your bullpen. Your entire bullpen has been cleaned out. Could I not make the argument that because Anthony Volpe didn't field that baseball, and now Garrett Cole has to pitch 20 more pitches, whatever, because it's not about the pitch count, it's about how he labored through that inning. Now that inning gets extended. Now it's a tie game. Now he's taken out. I would argue this affects tomorrow's game, which is a day game, Gary. You don't have a lot of time to get these guys ready. I was joking that pitchers' arms are going to fall off, but I was also being serious because they've completely emptied their bullpen.
The guys are already in bed right now. For the day game tomorrow, they're already asleep.
Yeah.
Trying to get ready for this game. Nobody's ready.
Rodon has to go 7 innings tomorrow, or they probably have no chance because their bullpen is absolutely gassed. And that, to me, could have been somewhat avoided had Volpe made that play. Volpe makes that play, Garrett Cole probably goes 2 more innings. We're talking about a 6-inning, outing, and then you probably only use 2 or 3 guys in the bullpen, right?
Yeah, I was actually just going to tell you that I feel like the conception, there's a huge misconception right now with the Yankees in shortstop. Anthony Volpe's viewed as this defensive stopper who doesn't hit, right? When Boone talks about him,
either.
He's discussing Volpe, just full stop, as if he's Ryan McMahon. Ryan McMahon's, this isn't a win for the Yankees, but I've said this off air, haven't said it on the air, and I'll say it now. Ryan McMahon's still an excellent third baseman, and there's value to what he brings to the table. We can hate the at-bats all we want to. There could be negative side effects for him starting on a day-to-day basis. We can discuss that at length, but here's the catch to him. He's absolutely going to do his job over the long haul at third base. Anthony Volpe hasn't proven that. Really, all we have to work on is, the defensive metrics in 2023 suggest that he's a good defensive player. We haven't seen anything since. So this isn't a defensive player that we're all arguing about the bat. Hitting's the hardest thing to do in baseball. It's not even close. There's not a close second. But this is a player who fails defensively. And considering poor defense, Jake, Jose Caballero is actually better at everything. There's not even an argument. He's a better base runner. Is he over aggressive at times where Volpe maybe is a little bit more conservative on the base paths? Yeah. But this is not really a debate. So poor management. Brian Cashman can take all the flack he wants, but by the time you make that mistake, we still have a saving grace. We have a manager. And that's why the question was asked by another podcast. It was a good question.
They also pushed for Schumann.
Why is he playing? And they didn't answer it.
They pushed for Schumann as well. And they kind of were like, he's done everything you could ask. And he's like, yeah, he's been good. And like, he kind of just shut it down. But I'm actually going to add on to your Ryan McMahon point. I'm a believer in being fair. I don't just have players I dislike and never give them a chance to earn my respect, right?
Right.
Ryan McMahon, there is a legitimate argument to be made that Ryan McMahon and Trent Grisham, who are probably my least favorite players to watch in the lineup. I mean, catcher just is a whole other discussion at that point. Ryan McMahon and Trent Grisham got off to horrid starts. We're talking about the month split in March. 14 at-bats. He had one hit. He had a 259 OPS. That's how he started his season. Then in April, he had a 581 OPS, hit 190. So he's basically Anthony Volpe. So then you go to May, and here's the interesting thing. You know, Ryan McMahon's on-base percentage sucks. It's not good. 263 on base for the month of May. But he hit 244, and he had a 711 OPS. And now here in June, and it's a small sample size, I get it, but Ryan McMahon's sitting there with a 273 batting average and 818 OPS. The on-base is not good, and you know you're not going to get much out of Ryan McMahon. He doesn't walk. He does not walk. He has since, we'll say, well, just on the year, he's got 13 walks, and 4 of them came in the first 2 games of the year.
That's 2025 Austin Wells-esque. Like, we're talking Austin Wells walked, I think, 35 times in that ballpark. Mm-hmm. You're just not walking. So there needs to be a saving grace about your game. But with Ryan McMahon, and again, you've been fair. I've been fair. Our audience has really been fair. At least it's not. His defense was awful at the beginning of this year. But I said, and you even agreed, the defense is going to come back to the norm. Why did we say it? Because we've seen long-term data to suggest that. That's why. So that's a lot of this. That doesn't mean you have to want this player on the team, but you can't argue that Ryan McMahon has an impact in a positive way. Would we rather have a better player? Yes.
And
but
when you have that body composition of 6'2", 211, and you look like that, you should probably hit 280 and have an OPS in the 900s. Okay, like that's just the way it should be. But you know what? It's not. So
he looks like a damn all-star. I do want to get some positivity out there, by the way. So Ninja, thank you for the 2. Says congrats to Jones. Obviously talking about Spencer Jones for his first homer. Volpe sucks. So there went the positivity, but yeah, absolute laser from Spencer. It's going to be interesting to see what the Yankees do.
Look at that sprint speed at that size.
The dude flies. I'm curious to see what happens with Spencer Jones because obviously we know Jason Dominguez is right around the corner. Had himself a big day down below in his rehab assignment. Just electric. I believe he was 3 for 3 with some
home
pop.
run, yeah.
We've talked about this at length. The Giancarlo Stanton situation looms large. What do they do with the DH spot? And we have a pretty good idea. Giancarlo's they're just going to shove him in there. And
they are.
It really runs yourself thin of options of where to play these guys. It's interesting because Trent Grisham's hitting. If Spencer Jones all of a sudden turns it on, what happens to Jason Dominguez? Do you ditch it? Do you just go with Dominguez and say, no, we like the fit of Dominguez more than Jones? You send Jones away? It's a tough situation that I'm sure Brian Cashman will mess this up.
I think it's pretty easy. I think that there's going to be a timeshare. And what they'll do is they'll go the platoon route. They've already told us Spencer Jones, they don't trust him against left-handed pitching. He hit 183 in the minors against left-handed pitching. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I think he's going to hit against righties, and I think you're going to see Jason Dominguez in right field on the right side of the plate hitting against lefties.
Strictly?
That's what I think is going to happen. I think we're going to see a timeshare. I really do. I believe that.
Well,
because
you're probably using 2025 as a case study. 2025, they did this 4 outfielders.
they have not been able to come out and actually say, hey, Jason Dominguez, we believe in you. They've never once showed us that. They actually want him to move to right field now. Why? Because they're focused on Trent Grisham. I'm not saying they should be wrong about that because Grisham's actually starting to hit.
He's producing, yes.
But isn't that kind of crazy? We're talking about the two prospects that they have, the two top prospects that they've had, in Jason Dominguez and Spencer Jones. These guys, many people have been waiting for a while. And they're trying to make room so Trent Grisham can stay in the lineup. That's what we've gotten to the point of. Trent Grisham isn't homegrown. He's just the guy that they paid $22 million to. And albeit he's starting to turn it around, I'm not saying he's not. But that says a lot, man. Spencer Jones has 10 hits and 36 at-bats. So he's starting to figure it out at the plate. He has multiple multi-hit games, by the way, which I think is definitely noteworthy. He has a 3-hit game. He has multiple 2-hit games. He just had his first home run. We saw the power. And then it was funny because on Twitter, people are like, oh, it was a meatball. It's like you could tell somebody hates Spencer Jones if they're willing to discredit that.
Most of the pitches hit out the ballpark are meatballs. The players that aren't good, they miss meatballs. Watch the at-bats, guys.
Yeah, Anthony Volpe.
And the pop out to the catcher. The average person doesn't think this. But
yes,
watch how many at-bats. Take a look at, I'd say comfortably, the 5 through 9 hitters. Like even Jazz Chisholm, who took one of the biggest at-bats of the day today. Just take a gander at all these ABs and how many pitches that are right down the chute that are fouled off, taken all together in hitters counts, by the way. Hitting's hard. It's really hard to do.
What do you mean, Brendan? It's a good problem to have.
It is a good problem to have. No, obviously, we hope the sarcasm comes through. I'm
sorry. The Giancarlo situation looms large here. It really does. We are going to have a seriously awful problem. And I love Giancarlo, but this is the reality. We've been early on this. We talked about this. We've actually talked about this since the inception of Yankees Unloaded. We wanted to DFA Giancarlo, I think, within the first week.
Because of the lack of versatility. It creates a situation where if Giancarlo Stanton isn't hitting, which again is the hardest part of the game, the Yankees are out of options. You can't use in this situation. Spencer Jones can't be utilized. When Jason Dominguez is healthy and Aaron Judge returns, someone's out because of the situation at DH. You can't just play the hot bat and put him at DH. Giancarlo's not going to play. He's not going to sit healthy.
Hey, Gary,
and that's the decision the Yankees are making.
What do you do in fantasy football when your best players are all at wide receiver and you need a running back?
You use the flex.
No. You trade one of your receivers to get a running back.
Oh, yeah, that's true. We've talked about that. And to be fair, they did that with Nestor Cortez, right? They said they have a surplus in their starting rotation. Let's trade him for... We can go get a closer in Devin Williams. We have a weak link here. We need to go get a closer. We actually like the move. Love that mentality. And the Yankees right now, I guess in hindsight, Jake, you could make the argument that if Spencer Jones is sent down due to circumstances, which I sure hope he's not if he's going to be playing well, he's probably one of the most valuable trade chips at the deadline that can pretty much acquire anyone. If he's going to go hit 250 plus with pop, show speed, and play defense, he's valuable. And I don't want him traded.
I want him a part of this roster for the future. I actually think he could be a future star. I really do. And I've stood by that. I think they get it wrong. I really do. The MLB pipeline, he's the Yankees' number 6 prospect. I think they're absolutely wrong on this. I think they focus way too much on age. If we're focusing on age, we're going to miss the boat. There's going to be players. And you know why? You know why I'm right, Gary? You know how I know I'm right? Because Ben Rice. Ben Rice. How about Cam Schlittler? Are these 18-year-olds? Are these 20-year-olds? No, they're not. And so I just think we've put such a emphasis on this age. Here's a prospect I'll throw to you that is overrated to all hell. People still talk about him. And I don't even know why. Roderick Arias. That dude has literally been talked about because he was 17. And they're like, oh, Roderick Arias, he's got all the... Here's the problem. Now he's 21, 22? And he's still that guy with all this potential. We've moved on. The other guys are stepping up. And, they're 24. They're 25. Dude, I don't give a rip. I'm actually totally out on that. Because here's the name of the game in the farm system. it's not about when you find them. It's not about how young they are, or how old they are. It's about whether or not they hit. And Spencer Jones, I actually have no doubt in my mind this player is going to hit at the next level. He's already kind of doing that. I know it's early, and we have the strikeouts, and people are going to talk about the strikeouts. He's nearly striking out half of his at-bats.
Yeah, rightfully so. It's just a reality that we have has to improve.
So, and he's shown the eye. He's shown that he, can develop that, and he can walk, and he's a plus outfielder, and he's a great athlete. He's got a lot of speed. I mean, that's my thing, is I don't care that he's 6th in the Yankees farm system. If you were to ask any team in the league right now who they'd rather have between him and, let's say, who's ranked ahead of him right now? Let's take a look at the Yankees prospects. I want to make a point here.
It seems like they use age as just this catch-all. It's like, oh, yeah, he hasn't put the numbers together, but he's also 19.
So right? The Yankees pipeline...
30, he's 19.
By the way, MLB has it. I absolutely disagree with this. If you want to have Lombard Jr. number 1, totally fine. No issue.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Elmer Rodriguez should not be ahead of Carlos Legrand. The only reason that's the case is because he's pitched already in the major leagues, and he's 22. Legrand is 23. If you ask anybody in the league who they'd rather have in a trade from the Yankees, they would take Legrand every single time. You look at Dax Kilby, he's 19. Would you rather have Dax Kilby right now if you're the Guardians, or would you rather have Spencer Jones? They would tell you Spencer Jones.
They would tell you, because most of these players aren't going to be worth anything 5 years from now. People don't realize how many of these guys miss. They always talk about the ones that they predict. I predict this guy's going to be awesome, and then he becomes good, and they say, see, I called my shot. But they never talk about the guy who was at the top of the list. He was in the top 10, top 20, because he's 20 years old, right? How many different players do you guys have to see come out of the international draft who they're 16, 17, 18 years old, just like we watch out of Jason Dominguez, the Martian, right? Every other team out there that signs these players go, yeah, we've got this big guy, 17. He doesn't turn into anything. And no one even remembers the crap. They don't. So Jake, I couldn't agree more. It doesn't actually matter how young these players are, because it's so difficult to find guys who can produce already as it is. Don't overwork the he's young, because you know what can happen, Jake? And really, to wrap a bow on this, you can end up squirreling around with an Anthony Volpe because he was young. He's just 21. He'll be fine.
Oh, yeah.
He's just
that's 22. What happens.
Okay. He's just 23 years old. What's the rush? And then you look up and he's 25 years old and not any good. And now all of a sudden people are pointing fingers. We don't care who's at fault at this point. Just get him off the field. Go get talent.
Exactly.
And don't tell me how young they are. Obviously, we'd prefer guys who are great to be young, but what are we sitting here obsessing over age? It doesn't mean everything.
And I like Dax Kilby, by the way. I think he has talent. But if you were to make a trade right now, who's the most coveted piece? I don't care that Kilby is ranked 3rd. I don't care that Ben Hess is ranked 5th. Spencer Jones is more valuable than both of them, probably combined. So that's kind of what I would say there. Also, real quick, Caden Kent in their farm system.
Yeah. We
liked him in the draft.
We did.
Jeff Kent's son. I'm telling you, this guy is going to fly up the rungs. He's on the older side. It's funny. We're just talking about this. He's 22. His ETA is 2028. I'm telling you, if Caden Kent ends up seeing the Bronx, don't be surprised. This is somebody that is one of those guys. He's 13th in the list. This is one of those guys. Don't always look at the top, Gary. Don't always look at the top. It seems like the guys like Ben Rice. Cam Schlittler, are in the 8 to 13 range. Those are the guys that end up hitting more often than not. I'm going to look at Caden Kent as that guy that ends up hitting out of that group.
Yeah, because those guys aren't really forced into the mix. Anthony Volpe was forced into the mix. He was called up, and I'm not going to have revisionist history. We all called for him to be here. Once you saw it's not really working out, it looked a lot like Jackson Holiday. Everyone realized, I think this guy, we need to develop this guy a little bit more here. I know this isn't it, what you're trying to sell me. And they didn't. They refused. And they refused because of where he was on that list, Jake. I mean, let's be completely honest. And my favorite super chatter here, Dix Enormous, says with a 2, appreciate it, says, I don't know why we keep Bird or Volpe. Jones earned a spot. I mean, I wouldn't say that Jones has earned a spot at this point. On the roster, yes. I feel like he should be here. But as far as playing, he's just got to go out and earn playing time. And everything you saw today was a step in the right direction for this guy, because the bat, as you mentioned, that's really what we're paying for. That's why we're bringing in a prospect to see what he can do offensively. The glove's just gravy. Trent Grisham, while he's hitting, do we really care that the glove is that bad if he's going to hit with an ops of 850? No. That's why no one was complaining last year until the bat fell off. So, yeah, man, if you hit, you can take any spot you want. We're not going to cry over a prospect, but good for Spencer Jones today. And Sonny says Carlos Legrand is better because he throws 103 casuals.
That's actually not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you have Elmer Rodriguez, who's 6'4", 177 pounds. I'm going to go with the 6'7", 248-pound Legrand because I think he's going to hold up better. And also, I like them both. But one thing I noticed with Elmer Rodriguez is we're going to talk about the control issues and, oh, he's just a velo guy when we're talking about Legrand. Well, Rodriguez is nibbling, okay? He's going to get better, but I think Legrand has more of a chance of being an ace someday than Rodriguez does. Rodriguez has more of a chance of being Will Warren, whereas
Absolutely.
I feel like Legrand could be like the centerpiece of your rotation. I'm not saying he will, but I'm saying if I had to choose between the two, that is what I'm saying. So I think Legrand has an enormous ceiling, and yet he's a year older. It's because he has, more of these traits, more of these intangibles that you're just not getting with Elmer Rodriguez. They're both exciting prospects, but I think Legrand has star upside, whereas I think Elmer Rodriguez has kind of the, like I said, like Will Warren, where it's like, some days you'll question, is he a star? And then other days you'll be like, okay, he's just a really good pitcher. And that's what
we weren't going to move guys aside for Will Warren. Will Warren is a guy that if everything works out the way it needs to, he has incredible value at the 3 through 5 spot in the rotation. Legrand has the potential, and we're clearly seeing that because you're seeing him get shifted to different positions just to get him here. That's for a reason. So the Yankees, busting your balls. That's one way you could describe it.
Well,
anywho, Jersey Girl, thank you for the 5. Says, does Cole have command rust issues from rehab? Because his fastball average was 97 miles an hour. We actually saw him touch 100 today. So love to see that. Best since 2022. Or did the Guardians just lock in on the Arsenal? Was he tipping? I can't say he was tipping. There's no way to prove that. Impossible unless it's said post game. But guys, you just have to keep this in mind. This is expected. And it goes back to a point that Jake, you made. You've been making that for weeks before Cole even came back here. It's impossible to go out there and just assume Garrett Cole is going to have all the velocity, all the command, and just be exactly who we need him to be. It's too much pressure. Can it happen? Yes. But to sit up here and just say, oh, Cole's back, so Ace Cole, that's just what it's going to be. This isn't 2022. There are variables there that the Yankees have to consider on the trade market and coming into the year, and we talked about those. But Jersey Girl, this is probably more of a command issue due to how, we're talking about a guy who really just showed up. Garrett Cole is just now getting back on the mound, and we're not going to be able to have a takeaway. Same with Rodon until we see 10, 15 starts. We're going to know when, going into the postseason, who Garrett Cole really is, where he's at, what the command looks like. And in the meantime, you just got to hold your breath from start to start, because it can look like Garrett Cole, ace, Cy Young type guy. And it can also look like a guy who's erratic, who doesn't have his feel for his changeup. You saw that today, and really gets, loses track of the pitch count, where a defensive miscue can be ruining his start. Yeah, Jersey Girl, he just wasn't great today. Jake, what'd you think about the stuff we saw? Because his command clearly wasn't there. Changeup wasn't there. What'd you think about it? Because obviously we love the velocity.
Yeah, I didn't think he was his best, but I'm not concerned because, I told you, I was very, very worried about Garrett Cole and how quickly he could come back to form. And I've already seen he's shown that he can, the 10 strikeout game. This 100%. Is him going against a team that already saw him, mind you, his last start. So to me, I don't see this as anything other than it's not that he was tipping pitches. This team literally just went up against him. His last start was against this exact roster. So I'm not too worried about it. I think it's a nothing burger. He would have been out of the inning if not for Volpe literally running away from the baseball. So that's what I would say there. I think that this very well could have just been a 6 innings pitched, 2 earned runs given up type of outing. And like we would have been like, wow, but it wasn't his best, but I don't think it was like concerning. And I understand like some people are going to say that, but he's got a 2.45 ERA in his first 4 starts coming off Tommy John surgery. I'm not complaining.
No, God, no. It's something we don't love to just look at one stat, but sometimes you can look at the ERA. If a guy's below 2.5, that's just a good pitcher. You can say what you want about whiff rate and the stuff and all the +5, -3, all the data, all you want. His job is run prevention and getting deeper into games. We can't really have the assumption that he's going to get deep into games at this stage. Gotta love this name, by the way. I'm Dr. Love Jones with the 5.
Appreciate you. Thank you for the broccoli.
So he doesn't like the message that playing Volpe over Cabby is sending to the locker rooms. This is interesting, an interesting angle. Says you can't win a World Series by rewarding mediocrity. This seems more like going with names. As silly as that sounds, that Anthony Volpe's a name. I saw in the comment section in our live chat, they said, oh, the reason that Volpe's in there is because of marketability. I said, oh, really? Marketability. I can't imagine that Volpe's marketable. But Jake, what's your takeaway on this? Because keep in mind, we saw this with Grisham, right? Trent Grisham was playing because he's Trent Grisham, wasn't playing well. The Yankees made the decision, no, we're going to play Grisham and see it through. It ended up working. The Yankees decided we're going to keep Giancarlo Stanton on the roster multiple years ago. We're going to do that because of the name. He played terrible last year. We're just going to play him anyways, despite there being better options at the time. It ended up working out. The Yankees are making the same decision now, but I think we're getting a different result. I do.
Well, no. The Yankees are making the same decision, but like, here's the thing. There are layers to this. Like, Stanton has been an MVP in the past. He has earned that right. Trent Grisham had 34 home runs and over 800 OPS last year. So the hope was, they told us all offseason, he's found something. He's found something. He's found something. He's going to be a different player. We think we're going to get the best out of Trent Grisham. Okay, show me, don't tell me. Now he's starting to show us, okay, maybe they might have been right. What's the best about Anthony Volpe? He hit 243 and barely had over a 700 OPS. Is that really like, oh my God, my brain is in a tizzy because I just need to get 243 in the lineup? He's not even going to do that because Anthony Volpe is essentially what Anthony Volpe is. He has changed his swing a bunch of times. You have identified, we're going to talk about it on our Patreon. We're going to break it down his swing. You've identified some issues with his mechanics. And to me, if he has these issues, well, it's not going to get fixed from Rouston. I can tell you that much. So, like, how am I going to sit here and be like, oh, there's no saving grace here, is what I'm saying. It's like, you could put him in AAA and whatever, but, like, the reality of the situation is when he went to AAA, he struggled. When he went to AAA, he saw George Lombard Jr. outclass him in every way. I'll never forget listening to the announcer trying to, and I feel like he had direct orders from the Yankees organization.
A strong throw over to first base.
Throw to Volpe, from Volpe to first base. It's like
there goes your credibility. Who the hell is saying that?
And then you're watching in the same game, mind you. You're the same exact game. George Lombard Jr., the face of this franchise at shortstop for the future. That's what they're telling us. George Lombard Jr. playing third base. He barehands the ball, and he goes across the diamond, practically just throwing right off the catch, right? Like, he has the ball in his hand, throwing right away, like in midair, jump throw, and it doesn't even hop. Not one hop. It's a strong throw every time, by the way.
That we moved. Can you believe the nerve that we moved George Lombard Jr.?
It's such a joke. It's such a joke. But you know what? We can talk about that because Joel Sherman seems to believe that George Lombard Jr., there's some legs here for him to be starting by August. That would be must-watch TV.
I asked you his numbers, by the way. Can you give the data as far as how he's hitting? Because we know the glove. We've seen it. What's the bat look like? Because we need to see, is this guy going to produce at the big league level offensively? If he can, we've got something here.
So by the way, Lombard Jr. just turned 21, I believe. So June 2nd. He is hitting 245 with a 774 OPS. Nothing crazy, right?
No.
But the thing is, Lombard Jr., the entire point of Lombard Jr. is that he doesn't need to be an amazing bat before you call him up. Because I'm actually going to take a little bit of a different approach here. I think the thing that hurt Anthony Volpe, the thing that helped Anthony Volpe is the thing that hurt him. He is I need to have like a positive mindset going, right? And Anthony Volpe started off as a Gold Glove shortstop. Whether we believe he should have won the Gold Glove or not, he started off his career as a Gold Glove shortstop. It kind of made like the offense go to the back burner a little bit. He had something to feel good about. It
was a sideshow,
right? So, and then that's what Aaron Boone would say. Well, he's a Gold Glove shortstop, right?
Yes.
That only works for so long, because then when you stop being a Gold Glove shortstop, or maybe you never were, right? Now all of a sudden that starts to eat away at you. I'm not hitting, and my defense isn't as good as it used to be. Here's the thing. This is my argument for George Lombard Jr. Why, if they called him up tomorrow, I wouldn't hate it. I don't think they're doing the same thing with Volpe. See, I never thought Volpe was a great defender. With George Lombard Jr., I think he is a superb defender. We're talking immediate top 5 defender at shortstop as soon as he enters the big leagues. I think he's that good. The range is insane. I mean, I'm no scout, and out of 80, I'm not going to give him an 80, but I'd give him a 70 if I were to, put a grade on the fielding.
So what you're saying is he has a tangible defensive crutch for being at the big league level. He has a way definitively to help the Yankees.
Yes.
Come up here, pick it at shortstop. We can say the battle come along. Let's just give him the experience. Is it a risk? I wouldn't say it's as high of a risk as what people would consider, because you have to remember, as well as Jose Caballero's hit at the big league level, all of what we've seen, he's not slugging and he's not walking. Now, that doesn't mean you're a great hitter just because you slug and you walk, but I can tell you right now, we look up and ops it's not the perfect stat, but it is somewhat of an indication of how well you're playing. His ops, as good as he's playing, is 700. So when you consider that, it means we're just getting league average offense from Jose Caballero, and it just looks great because of who it's compared to in Anthony Volpe. So you can make that argument. The Yankees can survive with George Lombard Jr. being slightly below average offensively as long as the glove comes with him. And I would say this, given the Yankees, and this is why I would say not to do it. This is my reason. The Yankees have enough holes offensively where I wouldn't consider George Lombard Jr. a hole. But if he needs time to develop, he could be a hole in the meantime. And I don't think the Yankees offensively can survive that. I put Jose Caballero back at shortstop full time. And whether or not George Lombard Jr. is ready, and if you really think his bat's ready, then he needs to come up and play third base for this Yankees team, or go to shortstop and you move Cabby to third. I just don't see an avenue right now until George Lombard Jr. is ready offensively. I don't think a win now team can survive waiting on his development.
Yeah, I don't think they need to call him up right this second. I mean, if I'm deciding between him or Volpe, I'm choosing him. But
of
honestly,
course, yes.
Just put Caballero back at shortstop. I mean, really, it's as simple as this. You want to see the Yankees have their best lineup possible as of right now, realistically, then this is what they need to do. First off, everything is pretty much in place because Judge is injured, Stanton's injured, and Jason Dominguez is still on his rehab assignment. So I actually don't have really too many issues with the lineup. I would prefer Spencer Jones ahead of Jazz Chisholm in the lineup. That's just my personal preference. But aside from that, I think everybody that needs to be in the lineup is there except for a few. And you already know what I'm going to say. So Ryan McMahon, if you want to go with Ryan McMahon and platoon him with Ahmed Rosario, I'm all for it. All for it. But McMahon is starting to hit again, and he's got the defense. So if you like, McMahon isn't going to get too many complaints from me. Rosario does need to play more, but at the same time, if you want to use Rosario as a platoon option, I'm not going to complain. So this is what I'm looking at here. Grisham, he's fine. I don't like him in center field. I would personally DH him. but fine for now, right? Whatever. Ben Rice, I like DHing him because I think he needs to get used to that, because that's probably what it's going to look like down the road when we're talking about, because everyone's focusing on Judge moving to DH. I think there's a chance Judge will end up being the first baseman. I really think that's a possibility.
Because they have to figure out with Goldschmidt, if he's going to perform, they are pretty much forced to put him at first base. Can't play anywhere else.
Exactly.
So
he's
Ben
so
Rice
good
has got to be, some people have said, oh, just move him to catcher, but Aaron Boone answered that question this week, whether we liked it or not. He's not considering it. Not yet. So
no, he won't play catcher.
There's a lot of moving parts to this roster. Yeah, it's crazy.
They're going back on that, but this is what I would say. Bellinger, Goldschmidt, Rice, totally fine. Jazz, totally fine. Spencer Jones and Wright, love it. Volpe, no, replaced with Caballero. Third base, McMahon. And guess what? Catcher, Christian Vasquez. Make the call. Get this deal done right now. You can still get another deal done at the deadline. But I am calling the Astros, a guy that they signed for the vet minimum, essentially. Yeah. I'm going out and I'm like, hey, what will it take for you to give up Christian Vasquez? Because let's just make this very clear. I don't think Christian Vasquez is the best catcher in the league or anything like that. I don't think he's this hidden gem. He's old. But this team, I don't care if they're 5.5 out of the West, Gary. They have to be honest with themselves. They're 31-38. They're 5-5 out of their last 10 games. They cannot stop teams from scoring on them. They score a lot of runs. They score more runs than anybody in that division. They also give up more runs than anybody in that division. That's their issue.
This is a major Band-Aid for the Yankees. You put the Band-Aid problem, the serious problem, and the problem is behind the plate. Obviously, the Yes broadcast talks a lot about, look at the game that's being called from JC Escar, the cat and mouse game. I get it. I understand where they're coming from, and JC certainly isn't useless. He's working his hardest to call a good game for Garrett Cole. Same with Austin Wells when he's here. And you can talk about the framing all you want, but let's be real here, Jake. Bringing in someone who's not very good is still much better than what we've got at the room at catcher. Yeah. And you just have to plug some of these holes and figure it out right now. I don't really see a reason to wait until August to solve this. I don't. No. And you've mentioned something that's really important. Just because you go get Vasquez at catcher doesn't mean the Adley dream is just dead on arrival in August. It doesn't. But what we do know is that Baltimore's probably not trading him. Even if they ever do, it's not now. You know who's more likely to be traded now? A player who's not really that good at all, but he's just better than what you have. That's something that Vasquez is. And if you haven't watched that video, we made a short clip of it, and we talk about everything that Vasquez brings to the table. It's nothing. You're not going to go get a bobblehead of Vasquez at Yankee Stadium's not going to do that. You're not going to
hit nines.
Watch him. He's there to not be a problem. That's actually his whole job. That's it.
Yeah, and by the way, like, his numbers have since dropped off a little bit, but I'd still do it. I mean, he's hitting 237, a 295 on base, a 370 slugging, a 665 OPS. Guess what? That is way better than what Wells, JC Escara, and Ali Sanchez are providing. Ali Sanchez is doing zero, literally zero. He's got nothing going, right? The one thing that I'm willing to work with the Yankees on here is they care about framing, okay? They do. We know this. They care about framing. Well, guess what? He frames well. He's good at it. I personally don't care about framing as much as they do, but they do. So I'm willing to work with you here. I gave you a guy. I gave you an option where a guy is in the 71st percentile in framing, right? I gave you an option where he's not a bad defender. Fielding run values at 62nd in the league, 57th in the league in base running, and 28th in batting run value. Okay. I'm giving you a guy who doesn't strike out a ton and doesn't whiff a ton. Okay. So he's not perfect. He's 35, so he's not a long-term investment, but sometimes that's just the right way to just sometimes you can't just wait till the deadline. Because let's be honest here, it has to make sense. He's not a prized, option here. Houston's not going to wait till the deadline to deal him. If the Yankees came with a competitive offer and they gave him like a 20th overall prospect in their farm system, they would jump at that. They would absolutely jump at that. They are not going to sit there like the way like the Tigers. If they're trading Skubal and Dingler, that's going to come down to the wire. That's going to come down to the highest bidder. But for a guy like this, if you need him, they're waiting for you. They know where they're at. The GM's already looking. He's already looking over his book and everything, and it's like, we're 31 and 38. It's getting to be that point where we're gonna have to draw a line in the sand one way or another. So that's kind of my take on that. And then, of course, real quick, I wanted to bring up his splits because I remember we did that, and that was the deciding factor for me that kind of put me over the edge. I really liked what I saw. So really good against left-hand pitching, by the way. Hits 286, 786 OPS. And then also he has 423 batting average and over 1,000 OPS with runners in scoring position. And high leverage, he hits 308 with a 742 OPS. And medium leverage, he hits 326 with an 871 OPS. So not only is he just not a problem, like he's just a guy in there, he can actually be a solution at the bottom of the order when we're talking about, okay, it has to get back to Grisham, it has to get back to Rice, it has to get back to Goldschmidt. And now you have Vasquez up there and runners are on base and you got 2 outs. Well, this guy, when there's runners on base and 2 outs with runners in scoring position, he hits 462, Gary. So this is somebody that actually could step up and be a factor in this case. And so that's
he's a
why
compliment. You're not
I don't think he's amazing.
Think about him. Yeah, he's a compliment to the roster.
You don't
have to think about him. You don't have to think about him at all. You go into a postseason series, no one's thinking about Vasquez, just like no one's thinking about Wells, except for when we go into postseason series, you're not thinking about Wells and you leave the series not thinking about Wells. That's a problem. You have to make sure Aaron Judge and those other guys, you need to make sure those other guys are something worth a damn. They can do something, because here's what we've learned. Whether Aaron Judge plays well or not, the Yankees, they don't win a World Series either way it goes. Aaron Judge played. He hit this past postseason. We still didn't go where we wanted to go. You know why? Because the Jays, the others, did something. That's why. Yeah. And so if you don't figure this out and you just wait till August, we'll be fine. We'll tread water and hope that the Rays and hope that the Orioles don't get hot. We'll just sit there and hang out, and then we'll go trade for Vasquez. Well, now if you trade for Vasquez at that point, you're talking about early August. Jake, we discussed when this deadline is. It's late. Abnormally late. So I just want everyone to understand that Brian Cashman is allowed to pick up his phone right now. He's allowed to make a decision. And to your point, Jake, if you make a trade now, as opposed to the August deadline, you're going to be forced to give up more, but that's also for a reason. It's not for no reason. Go out there and get this done. You don't need to send George Lombard Jr. to go get Vasquez. You don't. So I think this is a decision that, because of how Vasquez is not at the top of the game, because he's not Adley Rutschman, the timeline makes more sense for what we need. And I want Adley Rutschman. He's my number one choice. But given the circumstances, I think the Yankees need to make sure that they're understanding this bullpen is pulling all the weight, everything. What they're doing right now, and not for a sake of talent, just guys stepping up. Cruz is going to another level. Tim Hill's actually doing his job right now. And Bednar is actually stepping up, starting to locate his splitter. It's been devastating. You need to make sure you don't run out of momentum by having the bottom feeders of this roster drag us into the deep end of the pool. Jeff J, thank you for the 10. Says my 11-year-old first baseman, shortstop, pitcher has better walk instincts than Volpe with better bat to ball skills. Package Volpe up and get us a reliable catcher or outfielder. Baboon trash can won't admit the error. So I actually want to bring up a question based on what Jeff J said. So Jeff, thank you for the 10. What do you think about the Yankees fans that are concerned with the Yankees getting next to nothing for Anthony Volpe? I have a feeling what you're going to say, but I just need to hear it.
I don't care at all. I mean, personally, I would send him down to AAA just to see if there's anything that can be done with him. I'd get him the hell away from James Rowson, but also if you've given me this much power at this point, James Rowson no longer has a job with me. So there's also that. So maybe it would just
that
work
is
out.
Your take, yeah.
But here's my thing. Like, there's a guy by the name of Royce Lewis who we've talked about, and I kind of always imagined, like, I don't know why, I've always envisioned these two will get traded for each other. Really weird. Royce Lewis was the number 1 overall pick They did not hesitate to send him down to AAA. And then he hit like 10 home runs and 15 at-bats or some crazy thing. But then we have Jackson Holliday, number 1 overall pick. Didn't hesitate to send him down to AAA.
Nope, right away.
So I'm not saying that Jackson Holliday is going to end up being a superstar and it all worked out, because I don't know how much it really did. But that said, it's like they're protecting a player who has never once showed why he had the hype he did. And I think it starts to make you wonder. Italian, New York, from the area, right? Like it's marketing. It reminds me so much of Jared Goff. It's not even funny. Because I still to this day will tell you the Rams should have drafted Carson Wentz. I still think Wentz was the better player. Your team ended up drafting Carson Wentz. The reason why I bring this up is because I don't live in LA. And I do live in New York, but I don't live in the city, right? So I don't understand how important it is to have a guy from the city, because a lot of people rally around that, the marketability, right? Well, that was the thing. I had no idea how much marketability had to do with the decision to go with Jared Goff over Carson Wentz, because Carson Wentz was kind of like the country guy, right? Well, Jared Goff played his college at Cal. He had a lot of fans in Los Angeles wanting him. They watched him play football in college, and the fan base rallied around the fact he was a Cal guy, and they called him a local guy. For me, that's just silly, because California's huge and everybody's local. I like newsflash.
Yeah,
a lot
he's
of
a
people
local
come from
California guy. The dude's from San Francisco and he plays for the Dodgers. Like, what are we talking about here? This isn't
it gets
a
little
local
ridiculous. Guy. But I see it as so much because I'll tell you, it's Goff went to a Super Bowl and he had his moments of looking like, he could be one of the best at his position. But I'm talking about at the end of his tenure with the Rams. Talking about the end. When it was still, he was the number 1 overall pick, and he finally got money, obviously a lot more than Volpe's getting, but he finally got money. And you started to see the fall off. And there were still people, and just like there are with Volpe, there's still people to this day that were like, we just got to give him a chance. We just got to give, it's going to work itself out. Well, what if it doesn't, right? What if it doesn't work out? And so the Rams moved off of Jared Goff. They went out and got Matthew Stafford. Are the Yankees going to move off of Anthony Volpe, who's done nowhere near the production that Goff did? Because the Rams, by the way, went to a Super Bowl with Goff. He was the franchise quarterback. And the reason why I compare the two is because we're talking about a first-round pick in Volpe. We're talking about a guy that came from this scenario. Like, he came from New York. He was in, he's, around the Bronx, what have you. He was lauded as this guy that would take over the spot of Derek Jeter, right? Like, he'd be the shortstop. To me, it's almost like if you're the shortstop of the New York Yankees, it's like being the quarterback. And so I think it's time.
And they know that. Yeah.
And I think it's time for them to finally just be like, you know what? You can't look at him like there's anything coming. Be surprised. Don't be the guy that's just like, I knew it would work out, because I would rather send him down to AAA, give him a whole year of development there, and see if he can do anything next year, than run this course where you can't even afford to do this. Judge, Stanton, right?
Yeah, they can.
They
can. No, so you're saying that they can't afford to do it. That's because you have a different perspective of what the end goal has to be. That's actually the biggest misconception with the Yankees. And I know I'm right about this. Mm-hmm. The Yankees don't have your perspective about what has to happen. They don't. Their perspective is, we want to see it work with Volpe because we believe in him. Those idiots don't. Us, we're the idiots, right?
Yeah, that's the problem. They're doubling down on
They want to be right, and they're going to double down. Here's what we're not understanding about the situation. They can still accomplish what they're setting out to accomplish, which is win a lot of regular season games, go out and hopefully win the division where you're hosting those games, and get to probably a division or a championship series. That's the end of their goals. And if it bounces their way and they run into a Cleveland and Kansas City, they could end up in the World Series. Anthony Volpe can be on this team and the Yankees can still do it. We just did it. In 2024, we did it. He hit a home run in the World Series just to prove he was there. It can still be done when Volpe's not any good The team can still go where we all really need them to go. Here's the problem. Where we want them to go is winning a World Series. You can't win a World Series against the Dodgers and some of the better teams in the National League, some of the better teams in the AL this year. And you've got a player like this on the team. The Yankees feel like we can go out there and maintain the bottom line by trying this. And if we're right, they all look like fools. And then what do you think Boone's going to say? Well, you guys wanted me to give up on him. Isn't that exactly what he was going to say?
Mm-hmm.
John Boy was asking me why we're playing him, and how about now? Brian Cashman said that exact answer to Joel Sherman. Of course he would say that. You guys wanted me to give up on the kid, and all you needed to know is this isn't George Steinbrenner's Yankees anymore. We don't have to just give up on everyone right away. Sometimes you're supposed to give up on a guy. If the Rams didn't give up on Jared Goff, they would have never won a Super Bowl. Not one.
Nope.
And
I
so
can tell you
the
that with
point
confidence.
is, the time that the Yankees are going to try something new is when George Lombard Jr. is ready. That's when something new will happen. And they're going to continue to beat the drum on prospects. You know why? Because going to get the big free agent shortstop is what we would do. It's what George would do. They don't want to give into that. That's pressure. That's peer pressure. That is, we're doing things our way. And if we give in to what they want, we have to operate off what they want for the rest of time. Hal doesn't want to do that. Brian Cashman doesn't want to do it. So you asked a good question of are they going to make that hard choice? No, they're going to make the easy one, which is when the next prospect grows an arm, they're just going to cut the old one off and put it in its place. And George Lombard Jr., it's not the smart choice. George Lombard Jr. should be a plug and play anywhere you need him. That's how talented he is. If you need him at third base, you put him there. Not a good decision to just wait till he's ready and then say, okay, now you're ready. Now get Volpe out of here. It's
They said Jamarcus Russell could never bust. I'll never forget the way he was talked about coming out of LSU. Like you would have thought he was perfect.
Was that story, by the way, about the tape where they burnt over
Yes.
it and had nothing on there? Was that a true story?
That was a true story.
That is diabolical.
He didn't watch the tape at all.
You have to know the type of person when you pay someone a lot of money, and this goes for Yankees prospects, this goes for Yankees free agents, it goes for anyone. If you give someone millions of dollars to play professional sports at children's games, and you don't do the research, not just on the talent, because Jake, that was the Jamarcus Russell thing. Oh, he can throw the ball a mile. He can throw it 100 miles an hour.
He could throw it 50 yards laying down. It's like, who would ever need to do that?
But he's the type of guy, at that time, clubs were open 24 hours. This is the type of dude who'd be at the strip club till 5 a.m. You can't have that.
Sounds like James Harden. Right.
You can't have that and invest millions of dollars into an asset. That guy isn't mature enough to deal with the situation at hand. It's just, you just have to know these things when you make those type of investments. Ninja Hot Dog, thank you for the 5, says Boone runs his team like a little league team. All players, no matter how bad they are, need to get their at bat in. Jake, what do you think about this? And Brian says he's at the strip club now, so gotta love it. Instead of throwing ones our ways, he's throwing them.
That's not very sanitary. You're telling me our video is up right now at the strip club? Anyway.
I would appreciate that. I'd actually like that. We'd probably get more subscribers. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah, so I totally agree with this, except for the fact that Schumann doesn't get an opportunity. God, he has me defending Schumann. I mean, dude has like an 880.
You weren't like in love with this whole Schumann thing. You're just
like he has an 880 OPS, and they're just like, yeah, you're just a utility guy for us. It's like, imagine if Duke Ellis was just a utility guy, but he had an 880 OPS. He showed some like actual like slugging ability, was doing everything, and they're just like, yeah, you're just gonna be our pinch runner. It's like,
then why'd I go up to the plate then? I walked in a situation I had no business pinch hitting for, right? Spencer Jones is 3 for 3. You put me in the game. He's probably wondering, I wonder why I'm in the game. Draws a walk, gets the job done. They're like, yeah, come sit down with me. By the way, Brian says Chastity says hi. Tell Chastity to subscribe, hit the bell icon, and like the video. How about that?
Yes, how about that? Of course, that's the name. Scott Ross, thank you for the 5. By the way, Ninja, thank you for the broccoli as well. Scott Ross, thank you for the broccoli. Really do appreciate it. And in case you didn't hear me, I said broccoli. Brock.
Yes.
So I'm convinced Volpe is Boone or Cashman's son. Prove me wrong. Nice win. We need a shortstop and catcher bigly. Isn't this so? It's actually kind of funny because I've never been a huge Ryan McMahon guy, and neither have you. But I don't feel like we've been saying outright that we should just go and get a third baseman. We've talked about moving Jazz there and then like upgrading, get like, you know, an Arias or whatever. But we never once like come out and said like, yeah, let's get a third baseman. However, catcher is 100% needed. Shortstop, they already have Cabby. They don't need a shortstop. If you get, you know, obviously if you get like freaking Bobby Witt Jr. or something, then I mean, anybody who thinks they have their shortstop in the future, if he's available, you should go and get him.
It's like Corey Seager, if they're going to spin the block and say, hey, Corey, you're going to come play shortstop for the Yankees. Okay. But we can go into a postseason series with Jose Caballero at short. So we haven't been crying about
catcher
out of market.
They need to do something immediately. And it's not calling up some subpar catcher from AAA. That's a holdover because
what's his name again?
Ali Sanchez.
Ali Sanchez.
Remember, he wasn't even the guy in AAA that people were pushing for. They were pushing for Peyton something.
We heard Peyton first, and then Ali Sanchez was just tagged along at the end. They're like, who's it going to be? They're like, Ali.
We're just going to do Peyton, Ali Sanchez. We fused them. But no, it was Peyton, not Peyton
Thank
Turner.
you, Scott.
That's a pass rusher. Peyton... I actually liked his name. He sounded like he could be something.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about, though. Brian, thank you for the 2, or as Jake calls the Baja Blast. Since Jason was 3 for 3 with a homer and a stolen base tonight. Obviously, we don't really care about the performance.
Manning.
We care about what he's doing physically. That performance shows us that physically he's feeling himself. This is good news, and it's even better news considering the fact, Jake, that the DH spot is open, but kind of boils down to the point that you made before. If Ben Rice can't go to catcher, someone's just not playing for the hell of it. Spencer Jones, Jason Dominguez, Trent Grisham, Cody Bellinger, they're all playing well. You would love to use those four spots, put 3 of them in the outfield. 1 of them goes to DH. I guess your problem is all of a sudden they're probably going to send down one of these guys.
Yeah, I don't love it. I'm going to hate it. It's going to be 0-hour doomsday, and I'm not going to be happy about it.
Is it going to be your boy, Spencer Jones?
It probably is, and I am going to crash out. I will.
Because otherwise they would move. Because here's the problem. First base. What happens with Goldschmidt and Ben Rice? Well, we're able to get both bats in the lineup because of the DH spot. Well, if Jason Dominguez, who's not a good defender, and you want to use him at DH, there goes all your at-bats from Paul Goldschmidt. Unless Ben Rice moves to catcher. So
I mean this in the nicest way.
Gotta be creative.
The best thing that can happen for the New York Yankees is if they win a World Series this year, Stanton retires.
Easily the best thing that could happen.
Like, that would be a really uncomfortable decision and discussion. Just the universe just makes it for you. And by the way, I have been in these positions before, just in my real world, my life. I'm sure you have. Sometimes it's not the trash takes itself out. It's actually like, it's more than that. It's like, it's a tough discussion to have. And then sometimes you get a surprising answer to a response and you're like, oh, we're cool. That worked. Everything
it's
like
at
worked
least
out.
An option on the table that people may or may not be aware of. He has the option to walk at the end of the year. That's an option on the table. Now, what does that look like contractually? We'll obviously see what that is, but it would be ideal because as good as Giancarlo Stanton's played while he's been healthy for the Yankees, it's just given our roster constraints, the fact that Aaron Judge is on the wrong side of 30, and I mean, he's about to be closer to 40 than he is 30 here in a minute. We need that DH spot desperately. We do. I mean, I can't watch 35-year-old Aaron Judge. Everyone's like, no, the defense is great and right. And he runs into a wall again. And
the only time he gets hurt, by the way, is in the field. Look. It's all in the field. He doesn't need to be out there. I've been saying this. We've been ahead of this. I said he should be playing first base. Minimal, you were
mocked, by the way, for that take. And people continue to intentionally misrepresent what you were saying. And your point is that while I'd much rather have the defense out in right field, I would rather have him healthy. Give me no defense before you get hurt. That
Aaron Judge would be the steal of the draft, and he ended up being the steal of the draft. So,
yeah, and it's like we're not really in a rush to be right.
Yeah,
but when you're talking about, you can always make the comfortable take. The comfortable take is Aaron Judge is a great defensive right fielder, therefore he should always be in right field. But it's bigger than that. It's more nuanced than that. I would rather say no defense in right field and just put a Spencer Jones, who we know plays a great defensive right field, give him an opportunity and have Aaron Judge do what he's paid to do. We don't pay him to go flag down balls at the wall. We don't. Every once in a while when he does it, is it cool? Does Judge's Chambers, do they get excited? Yes. But would I rather have Aaron Judge taking 550 to 600 at bats a year and I don't have to worry about him just going off the field and figuring out how to patch this up? Of course. Give me a DH of Aaron Judge any day of the week. Izzy did bring up, Jake, my absolute favorite thing.
You love this.
Reminds everyone to like the video. Izzy, we really appreciate that.
Says,
of course, thank you for being here.
Hit the thumbs up button.
It is. Isn't that insane? That you could have over 400 people in here for an hour and 30 minutes and they're like, won't even like the damn video.
This is honestly one of our biggest videos that we've had in some time. Like to have over 400 people in here. I'm not saying like to make us sound small. That's not it at all. It's right. I mean, we've had over 300 every night. And so to go up to 400 here in early June,
it's refreshing.
It is refreshing. And we know in July and August, we're probably going to have over 1,000, but we're climbing the rungs. You have to get there every year because I'll tell you right now, the NBA and the NHL are still going on. I shouldn't have even brought up the NHL. It's bad taste in my mouth tonight, but
some Knicks fans right now have a bad taste in their mouth because they did not like the calls they got in Game 3. Spurs win.
It's not
going back to the Garden for Game 4. This, in my opinion, is the biggest game of the series. Knicks win this game. I feel like they have complete control of the series. I still would rather them finish it at the Garden in Game 6, but you let the Spurs win this game, all of a sudden you're going back to San Antonio in a tied series. It's not what you want.
What you just said is exactly what's happening with Vegas. They had a 2-1 lead. They had a chance, and now they're going back to Carolina.
At least they won that game up 4. I think it was 4-1. You had to win that game. They won the game.
Yeah, no, this one was bad because Shea Theodore literally passed it. Like, he centered it right for them to score a goal. It was the dumbest thing you've ever seen. I just don't even know what he was doing. But
Jason, no, we will brag. That's actually what we're going to do. So, appreciate you. Bye-bye. And Derek with the 2 says, Jones should be in center field. Jake, didn't I make this point? I don't know if I said it on air.
Wait, someone told us not to brag?
I think so. I hope they were
do
talking
what I
to somebody
want
else.
at all times. I will always do what I want when I want, and I'll say whatever I want because I don't think I do anything crazy, egregious, or anything like that.
We're podcasters. I mean, it's not.
So yeah, I don't listen to anybody, and that's really that. Like
Jake is
I
not
will
coachable.
Always.
So if you thought that's how this is going to go.
I don't like being told what to do ever, and because I'm always told to stay in my lane, stick to football. When I literally do a nightly Yankees podcast with Gary, I still have people that are like, stick to football. And I'm like, bitch, please. Like, get out of here.
Well, they want you to talk about football until you say something about football that they don't like. True. But then ironically, when you have takes that people agree with for the most part, they just have no problem with you using any type of platform that you've built.
Yeah.
But Derek,
so he brings up a point about Spencer Yankees Jones podcast, I can already tell.
Perhaps.
Or
you mentioned something that I brought up. The fact that Spencer Jones defensively, he's the second best defensive outfielder on the team. Cody Bellinger plays the more difficult position in left field, especially at Yankee Stadium. Makes perfect sense why he's there. You don't move him. Center field, and we saw Aaron Judge move from right field when Juan Soto was here. Go out to center field. We're going to flex you out there because we want Juan Soto to play the easier position of right field at Yankee Stadium. The decision made sense at the time. Why would Trent Grisham, who a player that we've had proven data to suggest that in 2025 didn't play well defensively. Aaron Boone said, no, it's got to be better. We go into this year, it gets worse, but the bat has been much better. We're not here to complain about Grisham. We're here to say we need a relocation. Get Trent Grisham in the meantime out to right field, the easier defensive position, and get Spencer Jones to center field, where you have a left field and a center fielder that can really go out there and get it. I don't really see how this is arguable to be a bad decision. The only thing you can make the argument for, Jake, the only thing is if Aaron Judge, when he comes back, they're not considering him putting him at DH. They're just going to simply put him in right again.
Mm-hmm.
You could say, why would we move Grisham to right field if our intention is to just move him back to center field? And I would say you've got a case. Do you move Trent Grisham to right field, or do you leave him in his native position for the inevitable return of Judge?
It's funny. You were actually first on this. I had never heard anybody say Grisham should play right field until you said it. Now, I don't like that he has almost no arm whatsoever. It's like the worst thing you've ever seen. But I would sacrifice the arm from the corner outfield position if it meant that I get the coverage and the range that I get with Spencer Jones, who's just astronomically better in every way of an athlete than Trent Grisham. That's what I would say.
Yeah, because there's drawbacks. Ball's in the corner in right field. Obviously, to be fair here, for the people who are like, I can't have his arm in right field, I can't do it.
It's the jersey framing person again.
It's the same guy. Man, what a moron. Yeah. It's got to be a bot.
I can't believe this person made a new account to just basically tell you need to frame your jersey.
Yeah, here. You can just, he can go tell grandma to go heat up the soup. Goodbye. Anywho, no, I'm not going to even address it. It doesn't need to be addressed.
You can
make the argument that Trent Grisham can't throw from right field, but throwing at Yankee Stadium from right field, for the most part, you're playing shallow. Anything over your head's out of the stadium anyways.
That's true.
You can throw from right field.
That's perfect. You're absolutely right. I mean, you're absolutely right. It does sting to see, like, your dad played right field. I used to watch him just have this cannon. He'd just throw anybody out from anywhere. Mm-hmm. And then we go from your dad to Trent Grisham. That's a little bit of a kick in the teeth, but I could live with it if it meant that you're basically handing over the reins to center field to what I believe is the future if they let it happen. And somebody that shouldn't be able to move the way he does, but at 6'7", 240 something pounds, you're talking about Spencer Jones having nearly 80th percentile sprint speed, and you see just the range. I've been watching him in AAA and AA. Like, this dude covers so much ground. And the other thing, Gary, imagine this, right? Imagine this. We have a scenario where you're watching the Yankees and you no longer have to worry about the center fielder playing too far in and getting beaten over the top like he's, a slow cornerback.
He's like a bad corner that jumps every first move. He's just like, I'm going to jump in and get the pick, and the ball goes over his head for a touchdown.
Like, Spencer Jones could play shallow, and he has the range to be able to come back and beat that. He also wouldn't have to play shallow because he has the range. So, yeah, I think you nailed it. I think that's what needs to be done. By the way, Grisham used to play left field, right? He wasn't just a center fielder. He did play left field.
That's correct. They're acting like
why would they we've graduated you to our new center fielder? He's never earned that in pinstripes. No. He was a great center fielder, like borderline Gold Glove all-star level center fielder back with the Padres. That was his one thing that Padres fans were like, well, at least he's good at that. And maybe an occasional home run off the bat. But for the Yankees, he has actually gone downhill. We've brought up the stats a million times. We brought up the analytics a million times. He is falling off a damn cliff defensively. Maybe the best thing for him is to salvage him in right field. And to your point, he can still have the best of both worlds. You can still play shallow because anything over your head's a home run anyway. And on top of that, because you're so far in, hey, you don't have the strongest arm, so it actually works differently because normally in right field you put the strongest arm there. But because of the dimensions of the field, it actually makes sense, Gary. I think you nailed it.
Grisham should be playing right field for the Yankees. There's no question about that. It's final. I can say one thing, And Yankees 2, Z, we really appreciate all the support in the comments, of course. I actually love something that Brendan brought up. This is hilarious. I couldn't ignore it. Straight out of our live chat, who's a member here, so we appreciate that. It says Grisham is in right field. For those of you who don't know, that ball that Juan Soto pulled into right in Washington, Grisham's the one who sausages that ball in right field. How funny is that?
God.
You knew that, right?
No, I didn't.
That was Trent Grisham who booted that ball in right field.
It doesn't get worse than Aaron Hicks in left field. Depressed Aaron Hicks.
You're right in a vacuum. In a vacuum, if that was an important play that Hicks was making, then yes.
But like
for a ground ball to go out to you in right field, in a situation like that, for you to boot the ball, as bad as he was offensively at that time of his career, do you realize how bad that would be to not make that play? It was ridiculous.
Bro,
come on.
I shouldn't be able to look up depressed Aaron Hicks and have that play come up.
Can you send it to me one more time? I just got to watch it. I'm going to watch it after the show. It just has to be done.
I'm actually going to put it up on screen. I'm not going to play the play. I'm just going to, first off, I want this on my computer anyway. So I'm saving it as a
You don't want this show demonetized so we can make $0?
No, I'd rather not. But
yeah.
Guys, look at the ball. You can't see the ball because it's so zoomed in. But the ball is right behind him, and he's just like, "Aw." Like I will never, ever understand what led him to react in this way.
That's the Gen Z pose, by the way. You ever seen Gen Zers take, not to make fun of anyone in here, but you ever seen the photo where everyone looks down at the ground when they're taking photos? They don't actually look at the camera anymore.
Well, how about let's do this? Let's go. You can put another image file. This is more zoomed out. Well, what is happening? Like, you know, and you can't see the ball. But you should be able to see the ball.
Well, neither can he. He can't see the ball either.
Bad boy mowers pinstripe bowl. Good Lord.
Hell of a spot to put in an advertisement, by the way.
And someone had soft serve there. Is that Oatly? That's Oatly. I know that's Oatly. If you're into oat milk or whatever, there you go. You got your Oatly soft served ice cream.
We've got to speak to these random companies and
these people are pointing at the baseball. Look it in the crowd. They're like, it's over there.
Yeah, it's sad. And not that sad because we obviously made him generationally wealthy to do this job, but God bless him.
Oh
B-Rye, by the way,
Yankee
thank you for the
for
5 in the broccoli.
At that game.
Yeah. B-Rye says Cruz deserves some love. Let's talk about Cruz right now.
Yeah, I love Cruz.
I actually want to discuss something that's maybe a little larger than what people are expecting. We have to figure out, is this a guy who's an inner circle guy? He's not a strike thrower. But there was actually a point brought up on the Yes broadcast this past weekend that I thought hit the nail on the head. He's no longer a guy just, what do you call it in a video game when you're spamming, right? Spamming the spin button, spamming the deep ball, spanning the dunks, spanning three-point shots.
Mm-hmm.
Fernando Cruz was a guy who just strictly throwing splitters. That's all he was throwing. He really wasn't even a pitcher. I don't even know what to call it. He was just a junk baller. That's changed this year. That fastball mix is way up. He's actually using the fastball by a means to get ahead of hitters with an intent to get ahead of counts and then blow guys away with that breaking ball.
And he's using it as an off-speed pitch.
So my question, the Yankees, I already said that I expect David Bednar to revert back to the medium. He clearly has. And I'm not saying that this will be a solution the rest of the year. He's not good enough to just say, oh, won't be a problem again, but he's still good enough to be the closer of the Yankees. The Yankees have to figure out who's going to be my setup man, who's going to be my bridge guy in the 7th inning. Those are really important roles, almost just as important as the closer, obviously not as, but you need to figure out who's giving the ball to your closer. Cruz right now is making a strong case that we can give him the ball in big games in the division and championship series, or maybe even in a World Series. God forbid we get there. My question is, do you feel like being a non-strike thrower, is still enough of an issue where you can't put him into that circle. Because for me, I feel like he's earning his right out of that whole mantra that he can't get ahead of hitters.
We went over his splits the other day, Gary, and I remember pointing out how even though you would expect him to be somebody that's not a strike thrower, he still hasn't really had an issue in high leverage situations, and mainly with runners in scoring position.
Yes.
I guess I should bring that up now, and let's just like rehash it because I think it's worth bringing up again. But I do remember them being like really good numbers. So let's take a look at them for 2026. Now, against left-hand bats, 140 batting average, 493 OPS against him. Right-handers are hitting 236 with a 671. So they're pretty much, he's destroying them for the most part. But this is where I'm most interested in. So you look at immediately the runners in scoring position numbers, holding batters to 167. 497 OPS. Cruz came in with runners in scoring position today, and he came through in a big way. And then, of course, 2 outs, runners in scoring position. It's the same deal. 167 batting average, 570 OPS. This is kind of the crazy stuff. So high leverage, his numbers against him, 189 batting average, 537 OPS. Low leverage is 188 with a 715. Medium leverage is 207 with a 523. Gary, he's one of the best pitchers out of the bullpen that you will find in the league today. And
does he have a case for being better than Bednar? And this is again,
David think Bednar.
So. David Bednar is pitching great right now. Love everything he's doing,
but he's done it all year. That's the difference.
Cruz has done it all year.
Done it all year. I mean, even dating back 365 days. So his last 365 days, not games, 365 days.
Yeah.
He's 5-3 with a 2.72 ERA and 56 games pitched. He's 49 2/3 innings. He's given up 33 hits. He's given up 15 runs, and he has a 1.24 WHIP. Now,
how many Ks do you have in those innings?
63. In 49
so
and
kind of
2/3.
Going back to the point that Jack Curry made, the Yankees need more swing and miss. Now, it's not like David Bednar's pitching to contact, so let's not get it twisted. But Cruz misses bats at a clip that we just don't see in our bullpen. He just doesn't. And this is why LeGrand and some of these flamethrowers, and obviously there were people in our comments that weren't excited about, oh, it's just because he throws 103, that's why you want him here. Guys don't throw 103 miles an hour just for their health. It's actually a detriment to their health, if anything. They do it because there's a premium on missing bats, especially in October, and it means something. When Jack Curry tells you the Yankees need more swing and miss in their bullpen, a few years ago in 2024 during our World Series run before the deadline, you can say, okay, great. Let's bring in guys that can miss those bats. Maybe Tim Hill actually has a role on this team, but when you're talking about guys in the inner circle who's going to pitch the 8th and 9th, those guys need to miss bats. And I actually believe, I'm just going to get out and say it right now, Jake, I put Cruz in that setup man role. I understand that we looked at Tim Hill as one of those guys. I think there's too much contact in his game to justify it, given the defense at shortstop right now. I go to Cruz, who's shown even when my defense lets me down, I can get out of this mess by way of the swing and miss. Give Cruz that setup man role, man. I feel he's deserved it. And I'm not going to say Boone won't do it, because Boone's been a little bit more creative than we give him credit for in the bullpen. He got rid of Holmes and he put Weaver in that role at the closer's job, Jake, something me and you were clamoring for. I hope we can press the right button here.
Yeah, I think right now Hedrick and Cruz outside of Bednar, I think those are the two most important pitchers. I think to your point,
I would agree.
Hill being very contact-oriented, soft contact, but contact-oriented, I think has definitely kind of hurt this team because it kind of wraps itself back. I would also say, I'm sure you can point to it. I guess who cares about sure you could point to it. Let's just look it up here. Tim Hill, I'm very curious to see something here.
And Omar, good point. It did take him 14 blown saves. He would have broken the all-time record to get Clay Holmes out of there. You're right.
I have a interesting thing that I'm kind of thinking here. And I think you'll understand where I'm coming from. So Tim Hill okay, has fallen off a little bit, to say the least. But you go back to May 19th, he had a 1.37 ERA. Okay. So I find this interesting, right? And I want to just do some research real quick here, because I feel like that was right around Anthony Volpe starting every day at shortstop.
Do we have a definitive number? Like, where can anyone in our comment section tell us the exact date that Anthony Volpe? Now, we're not going to be like, oh, it's because Volpe's there, but it would be interesting, because we also talked about this with Marcus Stroman. Why is there such a premium on a guy who gives up weak contact when we don't like our infield defense?
Yeah.
Who cares?
Well, all right. So let's
cares?
Yeah, let's go about this here, because I got game logs. I could easily look this up. So he started his first game on the 13th of May at shortstop. Then he started the 15th, the 16th, the 17th, the 18th, the 19th, the 20th, the 21st, the 25th, the 26th, the 27th, the 30th, the 31st, June 2nd, 3rd, 5th, 7th, and 8th. Okay?
It's a lot.
That's a lot of games. Well, I'm not trying to say it's all on Anthony Volpe. That's not what I'm trying to say. But we've identified this guy is known for soft contact. You
Correct.
still need to field. This isn't an automatic thing. And obviously, Volpe takes over at short. It was the 13th. He played 8 innings at shortstop. So if you go to the 13th, Tim Hill at that point in time, he doesn't pitch until the 16th, had a 1 ERA on the dot. So then he goes up against the Mets on the 16th. Volpe does start. He ends up playing 8 innings in that game. And that is when Tim Hill, the ERA rises to 147. Then Volpe starts on the 17th as well, plays 10 innings. Tim Hill ends up pitching just a kind of a cup of coffee on the mound, doesn't pitch much there. But you'll notice, I'm looking at it. 3 ground balls generated that first game with Volpe, 2 in the next game, 2 in the game after that on the 19th against Toronto. And then Volpe, of course, is playing that game as well. And Volpe wasn't terrible defensively right off the rip. Like, we started to see, like, he was kind of going back to being like an average shortstop, like whatever. But he did have some like woes in the field, as he played more. And so when you go back to, I believe it was May 22nd. So Volpe does not play shortstop May 22nd against the Rays. To be fair, that's when the Rays really kind of balloon his ERA a little bit. 3 earned runs given up. Then the 24th, Volpe also doesn't play, but he pitches well against the Rays. Now he's sitting around 2.61 ERA. The Kansas City game, the 25th, Volpe does play. He doesn't have an error in that game, it looks like. So that one looks good for... So now you're at 253. Volpe.
You could also make the argument that defense is not so much about errors. And
I know.
And you know this.
Yeah.
It's also about the metrics. What balls do you get to? Which balls do you not? Because sometimes you'll go watch a shortstop and you'll see a ground ball and you're like, well, the other team got a hit on that, but you mean to tell me we couldn't get to that baseball? Or any ball in front of you that the throw is not in time because there's not a strong enough throw, where we've said, why isn't Volpe charging that baseball? Or why isn't maybe Ryan McMahon earlier this year where he was making errors? Why didn't he charge that baseball? He played back on it. The guy beat it out. That's not an error. It ends up going in as a hit and eventually as an earned run. So I'm not going to sit here and make it seem like Volpe is the reason that Tim Hill is falling off a cliff or even a factor. I'm not even going to say that. I'm just going to say Volpe is bad in his own right, and Tim Hill has too many flaws in his game because the intent is to put the ball in play. That's why I couldn't give him the keys as closer or as setup man or any of those roles, because if his entire intent is to put the ball in play weekly, I know the ball's put in play. Do I really want to see a ball be put in play 2 or 3 times in the 7th, 8th, or 9th inning in a postseason series? No, I don't. So I'm the first person to get out there and say, oh no, Volpe's at fault here. I just don't believe there's just no way for us to prove this. If that makes sense to you.
I get that, but I'm going to say I think you could draw a conclusion that, when Volpe started, that's when Tim Hill started.
You can start a case study for sure. And it would take, we're going to have to look at we're going to have to go crazy into the details, because you're going to start having to get into watching ball by ball, which ball was put in play, which one was there a chance to be. Could Caballero's arm, would it have sufficed in that situation?
Mm-hmm.
It's so difficult to make this judgment, but Tim Hill did fall off a cliff right around that time. And I'll chalk it up to just chance, but it is interesting.
Yeah, no, it is interesting. That's why I wanted to bring it up, because I was like, wait a minute. Tim Hill started to struggle when Anthony Volpe took over. I found that interesting.
It is interesting. It is.
Brian Bashman, thank you for the 5. Take Boone out of the ball game. Let him sit in the crowd. Buy him some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. We don't care if he ever comes back. I don't want to be totally dismissive of Aaron Boone. I don't think he's a great manager, but I try to be respectful. There are times, though, it makes it hard, man. And I don't like that, he has those moments where it's it's really hard to watch. Because I've been there. I've been there in an uncomfortable interview, and you kind of just have to. You don't want to be a part of the headline. You don't want to be the guy that, had Boone freak out and whatever. So you're just trying to do your thing. And that's the thing is, it's tough being in that position as the interviewer, because, when you're interviewing somebody who has more status than you, we'll say, to say the least, right? Aaron Boone has more status than John Boy. He just does, because
you're the manager of the Yankees. You'd be hard pressed to find someone
manager of the Yankees, right?
Your status,
but it's you're in a lose-lose situation, and that's why I think it's a little unfair that he chooses to go that route on those questions. And by the way,
I would love it, Jake. By the way, if I asked an honest question that my audience was like, that was a fair question, or anyone who maybe doesn't watch our show, I would see it as an opportunity. I ask a professional question and you belittle me and make me seem like a jackass. I'm excited, because
I'll never forget my buddy Grant.
I love that.
Any 49er fans in here, my buddy Grant Cohn, he was calling out. Do you remember Javon Kinlaw, the first round pick, defensive tackle?
Nope.
He was saying how he was a bust essentially, and he was just doing his job, right?
Yeah.
Well, Javon Kinlaw didn't like that very much. So one day he actually started getting into his chat while he was running his show, and he's like, all right, Javon, if you have such an issue with that, give me your email. I'll send you a link into the StreamYard and we can talk about it. And he came into the StreamYard and just started screaming at him. It was like, you suck and all this. And Grant held himself so calm and everything. And he was professional.
Yeah. But this is good. I would love if Boone showed up here and was like, Gary is a moron. So is Jake. And everybody in this chat is just a total moron. And as long as we're not baiting somebody into an argument, because that's the media as well, right? Stephen A. Smith, where if it's not one player, it's another that is just attacking Stephen A. Smith back. And Stephen A. doesn't realize how stupid he looks having an exchange with professional athletes. However, the exchange, it depends how it starts. When you're talking about just flat out disrespecting and be like, this guy's a moron, and then someone jabs back at you, no one's coming up to Boone and calling him a moron. Not to his face. You could say it in a chat.
You see that?
This is the internet. This is all fun, right? But when somebody like a Meredith, when Meredith comes up to you and says, hey, Boone, this is awful. What the hell are you doing? Has she ever said that? No. And she never would. People are asking, I'm telling you right now, if I walked in and said, well, what do you think? Why is this guy not playing? And someone yelled at me, I'd be like, great, go ahead and clip that.
Wow.
Because just more people are going to show up and watch your show, and he wasn't baited into the argument. So yeah.
No.
So honestly, good for John Boy, because that's actually what you want. I know they're not looking for cheap views, but you get the concept. You're being professional. They handle it in an unprofessional way, answering the question. And therefore you actually end up getting more views, and more people in turn end up disliking Aaron Boone, which is not what he was going for.
Nope. not exactly what the PR machine was looking for, but yeah, it's funny. Alex put out, Javon said, my ball is bigger than yours. He actually did say that. So a little weird. It was literally like a pissing contest. I don't know.
My ball's bigger than yours.
Yeah, that was something else.
We're probably 2 off seasons away from Boone saying that to one of us, because we're going to get in the room as well and start interviewing these managers. And I'm here to tell you right now, we're not going to pull any punches. We're not baiting anyone into arguments. We're just going to ask basic questions. Basic questions. Why does this guy not play? He's playing better than that player. Why not? And if you just gloss it over and you continue to brush it on and spray cologne on the turd, eventually, Jake, you're going to get tired of us asking that question. And more people will see our podcast because you're going to come yell at us. So
speaking of Pete Fairbanks, it's the 2-hour mark. So, we're getting into Inception territory. So let's talk about Pete Fairbanks.
Jake hit me with the horns and the music. So
yeah, yeah, right. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah. Want to thank God and my family.
Yeah. Pete Fairbanks, 32 years of age. I swear he is linked to the Yankees every single freaking year at the deadline. And what's so funny, Gary, is I feel like this guy is almost trades. We love those, right? He's almost been traded to the Yankees more times than the Yankees have traded at the deadline. So I don't know. I know he's getting linked again to the Yankees by, some insiders and what have you. Here's the interesting thing about Fairbanks. He's been in 20 games. He has 18 innings pitched. He has looked atrocious this year, for the Miami Marlins. But if you look before, he has put together some really good stuff. And look, I actually like the bullpen for the most part. I have my complaints. I still think they have a few in-house options. But if they were going to get like one guy, Jojo Romero comes up, but also I've been talking about Pete Fairbanks for a while. We like this player. I know he's struggling this year. Gary, I don't care. I think this is somebody that Matt Blake would be able to really utilize. And the age 32 doesn't make a difference to me because, they got Fernando Cruz at age 35. So
does the
what
condition
I would say,
factor in it all for you? The condition is, for those of you unaware, and it's perfectly reasonable not to know, he has a finger, like some type of issue with his fingers, where when he's pitching in the cold, he actually has somewhat of a sensation where he actually can't feel the baseball and can't grip it properly.
Bell's palsy?
Bell's palsy? I don't think so.
What does he have? He has something. No, there's Raynaud syndrome. I was thinking of
Bell's palsy.
I was thinking about something else. Don't kill me. Raynaud syndrome. That's what it is. Gary has left the building.
God. Cancel the show.
I couldn't remember. Dude, do you know how much I have to remember?
That was insane. No, he doesn't have Bell's palsy. He doesn't have cerebral palsy. He doesn't have Lou Gehrig's disease. No, he has numbness in his fingers. And keep in mind, guys, it's cold in New York in October. It's not like this isn't the Titanic. It's not freezing, but it's cold. It's a factor. Bell's palsy unloaded. Let me go ahead and save that.
All right.
That is insane.
No, it's like something with the face. Dude, I'm sorry. It's literally like, what is it? It's 1:52 a.m. Like, dude, I didn't know. And honestly,
hold on. I have to read the definition of Bell's palsy.
Oh my God.
So it says an unexplained sudden episode of facial muscle weakness or paralysis.
So yeah, he does not have that. I don't know who has that. Somebody had that I know personally, or like just in general. And it's like, it was in my head and I was like, oh, it's because I was trying to be Mr. Smart Guy. I was like, oh, I know exactly what condition he has. No, I don't.
Alex, you need to get to work, man. You need to show us a picture with, what'd you call it?
It's Raynaud syndrome.
Bell's palsy.
Yeah.
We need some AI. We need to get to work here.
So Raynaud syndrome, it's really like the main thing is the cold weather. So that is where obviously pitching in New York City, in the Bronx, in October, that was always our biggest issue with him. But I'm actually not worried because I kind of feel like at this point, he has an idea of how to deal with it. So I mean, it is what it is, but he's a really good pitcher. And I know he's struggling this year, but he's got some really good stuff. He's got that fastball he can go to. He's got that slider. So I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't mind going after him. He's also got that cutter as well.
It's like a project, but there's more. There's evidence that there's something under the hood. We know it's there.
Yes.
He just isn't putting it together. How much do you put on Matt Blake fixing this? Because this isn't even really the Fernando Cruz project. Fernando Cruz was just flat out dismal in Cincinnati. He wasn't good. So Jake, I can just see you reading the comments
section,
now.
I hate it.
I knew I didn't have your attention, so I was like, let me just stop.
Yeah. No.
Pete Fairbanks is a guy that
I'm covering up the comment section.
Yeah, for the most part, people are going to look at this and say, well, hold on. The guy's not pitching well. His ERA is over 7. Why in the world would the Yankees, who are in a win now mode, even consider this? This isn't your only move. It's not even one of a couple. The Yankees need a catcher. The Yankees, they're not going to get a new third baseman, so we can probably just forget about it. They could go get Tarek Skubal, right? You're talking about a massive upgrade in the rotation. But when you look up and see Pete Fairbanks, you know it can be fixed. You just need to know, do we believe in Matt Blake to fix it? And Jake, we've said he's not a perfect pitching coach. Some guys, in terms of their pitch mix, it doesn't work. Others do. And we've talked about the cutter, the sinker, and all the pitches he loves using. But Pete Fairbanks is one of those guys who, when he's got it going, we saw it during the 2020 COVID season, the guy can blow you away. So I would love to see what this guy can do in the Bronx if they could fix this. But to be fair, some people are going to say, why would I bring in Pete Fairbanks when I can bring in a guy who throws just as hard, if not harder, in LaGrange? So it's also cheaper.
It's true, but also you're talking about Brian Cashman. I've got a built-in type of Brian Cashman guy, here. And the reason I say that is because Pete Fairbanks is exactly the type of guy Cashman will go after.
Oh, 100%. You're right.
He has an ERA in the 7. So you're not selling high on this player. Hey, Miami, you paid him a lot of money. I'm still going to have to pay him money if I trade for him. He's not good. So I'm going to go and turn him into a good pitcher, and you're not going to get much for him when I do all the work on my own. So here's the thing about Pete Fairbanks. I got his stats or his splits here for his career. You're talking about a guy that really dominates right-handed bats. Career 193 batting average against him, a 577 OPS, and then left-handed bats. You're talking about a 235 batting average and a 675 OPS. So what you're getting with this player, well, you know what I found actually really interesting, Gary?
Brian said we can give him Jazz back.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Jazz hit a home run today, so
he did.
We'll lay off.
They probably don't win without him.
No,
but what you'll find with this player is that he actually does a really nice job. Runners in scoring position, he neutralizes that. 227 batting average, 677 OPS, 204 batting average with 2 outs and runners in scoring position. His high leverage numbers are insane. He gives up a 189 batting average. Batting average balls in play is at 264 in high leverage for his career. That's a 558 OPS. This is somebody that you can trust to be a closer. He can also be an 8th inning guy. As a closer, hitters are hitting 196 for his career. In the 8th inning, hitters are hitting 218. So I see him as like an 8th or 9th inning guy. I also think the way Boone uses his bullpen, we're starting to see this. You can't pitch Bednar in every single closing opportunity. You just can't.
No, you can't.
I actually propose, although my Vegas Golden Knights aren't doing this, but I propose that they use kind of the NHL goalie thing where it's like, you can go with your starter, and your starter at closer is going to be the closer more often than not.
Yes,
but
your
it's
first
good
choice
to have a designated backup. Pete Fairbanks can help you as the 8th inning guy, but he can also help you as the designated backup closer, or even just outplay Bednar and be the better closer option. So what to make of him? One thing I find a little interesting here is that his numbers aren't terrible in September/October. Now, I understand he was pitching in Tampa and all of that. I get that. But 234 batting average, a 659 OPS. It's not terrible. So that's something to keep in mind there. And also, I mentioned Tampa. This is a guy that has familiarity pitching against AL East teams. So I actually think that does matter to some degree.
That's a great point. Yes.
So that's another reason why I like him. For the playoffs, he's only pitched 15 innings. He does not have great numbers. He has a 3.60 ERA and then he has a 1.46 whip, but he also hasn't been in the playoffs since 2022. So that's something to keep in mind there as well.
Jake, you have wrecked our comment section, by the way.
Yeah, I just covered it up. I'm not even looking at it. So love you guys, but I'm not going to ruin my train of thought here.
I think there's something here, by the way. The Marlins will trade a Ferrari for a damn pack of Skittles.
They will.
We've seen it happen before. We've seen it. And this is something, it's not like the Marlins are going to, hey, give us Spencer Jones and George Lombard Jr. for this guy that we can't fix. His ERA is 7. They're just, you see a broken down car on the side of the road. Sometimes you can walk up to the owner and be like, hey, man, can I take it off your hands? I'll give you $400. And they give it to you.
And they love the Yankees farm system. They're probably one of the only teams out there that think everybody in the Yankees farm system is liquid gold.
They sure do. They're reading every last thing that John Heyman writes about our prospects. They're all superstars. They're all going to be Mickey Mantle and Derek Jeter. But yeah, I actually would like this pickup, not as an answer, as a flyer. We've seen Jake Bird. We've seen what that flyer looks like. You weren't open-minded to it at all. Nope. I was open-minded, but I thought he would be bad. It turned out he was a wet lemon, soggy lemon. Now you bring in Pete Fairbanks, and we've seen something in the past to suggest, let's give him an opportunity. And I think if the Yankees do that, it could work. And I'll say last thing I'll say about Fairbanks, and we can move on to Prize Picks, is that at some point or another, there are going to be a game, and there's going to be games in the postseason, and you saw it in the Jays-Dodgers series, where the game's 1-1, 2-2, 3-3, and you need to exchange zeros. You need to throw guys up there who are comfortable in high leverage. Cruz is one of them. Bednar's one of them. Who else can the Yankees trust in high leverage? Is it Doval? No, it isn't.
No.
Is it Tim Hill who's going to be giving up contact? No, it isn't. You're going to have to find who else you can trust in that inner circle. And Fairbanks, while right now he absolutely wouldn't show up a Yankee and be trusted, he's a guy that we say, we can fix this. And you have 3, 4, 5 months to fix it. This is the time to go do that. While the Marlins are losing, while Fairbanks stinks, go fix it right now.
I agree. I think that's going to be it for Pete Fairbanks. Keep an eye on him. I think he's a realistic option. We talked about a realistic option earlier with Vasquez, but now you can add another video to the list of never-ending videos in that library. Pete Fairbanks to the Yankees, ? Well, hey, we've talked about him now. I think it's been going on for 4 years, 3 years, what have you. This might be the final nail in the coffin here to finally send him to the Bronx.
Our goal is to hit on one of these trades. We made a video before the trade was made. That's
we made a video on Kybert Ruiz, so we better hit on something.
Yeah, no one saw that.
Yeah, no one. We were talking about that. How YouTube
our
shouldn't even show our
video.
Viewers. They should just say, instead of views, no one saw that. Like the Fallout meme. Everyone liked that or everyone disliked that.
Yeah.
No one saw that.
Nobody saw it. It wasn't that disappointing. We tempered our expectations. We knew who was there.
Alex,
but yeah,
get to work on that. No one saw that Fallout meme, because we will use that. I will be sending that to Gary, and he will be sending that to me all the time. So we now have requested your services for a few different things.
The best one by far, I think, is the one you made, where it was Devin Williams and it just says ass.
I was so angry, dude. I ended up really liking Devin Williams at the end, but
yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah. But let's get over to Prize Picks. Pete, get off my screen. We've got some money to make. Let's head over to Prize Picks.
Nope. He doesn't want to go. There he is. All right.
He's got the palsy.
Yeah, so we got 2 Rodons here for the price of one. Let's look at we're not doing anything.
Stay away from the Ks.
No, that's a hits allowed. I was like, he definitely struck out more than 4 once, right? Okay, let's stay away from all that. Let's do this. How about this? Okay, tomorrow, I don't even know who's on the mound. I've never even heard of this guy. No, I know who's on the mound. I've never heard of him. So tomorrow, you have Parker Messick. He's actually pitching really well this year, so he's going to be it's a lefty.
It's a Wednesday day game.
Yeah, it's terrible. This show is literally going to get no views after we publish this.
No, you're wrong. You want me to tell you why?
Why is that?
Because Thursday is a day off.
Ooh.
What are you playing a day game for if the whole next day is off?
That is dumb. All right, how about let's do this, okay? There's a lefty, so I'm going to hate this game. Spencer Jones won't play. It'll just be my absolute nightmare. But
pitching for us.
Let's do the hits here. Ahmed Rosario has been waiting for his time. He's going to get a hit. Ali Sanchez, no, I'm kidding. Don't. Come on. You really thought that? You really thought Ali Sanchez was going to be a part of this? No. I will tell you, not you, just anybody. Jose Ramirez is getting a hit. It's like the safest thing ever.
Can you book Cody lefty on lefty splits?
And Cody Belly is going to get it. Oh, is he not? Are you kidding? Oh, there he is. Okay. Honestly, let's just keep it like that. Don't need to go crazy. Just picking 4 guys to get hits.
I was going to say, do you think Volpe plays tomorrow? Not that he would have been part of my sheet, but technically he hits lefties. He's not a good glove.
Oh, he'll be in. Are you kidding me? He'll play. He might even. Rosario might not even play now. They'll just go out of their way and put. Oh, Volpe has to play. So we'll have McMahon play against a lefty. McMahon's hitting well enough. Don't be surprised if McMahon plays tomorrow. Don't be surprised.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Sometimes I ask the questions that I already know the answer to. Volpe he's probably going to be playing. I ignore that.
Rosario should be playing though. That's one thing to be fair.
Rosario should be the third baseman tomorrow. So if it was up to me, Jose Caballero is the shortstop. We get Rosario at third base. I like what McMahon's doing, but lefty on lefty, I just can't justify it. Jones will be on the bench, Brian. You're right.
Yep, unwatchable. Anyway. So that's going to do it. Play $5, get $50 instantly in lineups using the code HMA. The link is in the description below, and it is available in 40 states. So Belly, Goldschmidt, and Ramirez and Rosario. Get on that. All right. So that is the longest episode in the history of Yankees. I'm just kidding. It's not even close. We did like a 4-hour episode once.
No, what we were thinking. The views made sense. That the price was right.
Yes.
By the way,
what are they
what's the comment section again? It's something to do with palsy. What are we committed to?
Are we going to get canceled for doing that though? That's the thing.
No. We're podcasters.
That's fair.
If I was at the desk at you can't say whatever, but this is the podcast space. We can't be canceled or fired from our own job, so we're good.
Boone palsy unloaded. Oh,
no. We got to go Fairbanks palsy unloaded.
You do that. Meanwhile, oh, that was not what I was trying to. What the hell was that?
That's Boone when he hears Anthony Volpe's name when he wakes up. Make sure you guys subscribe.
Volpe wet in the sheets.
Yeah, like the video. Oh my God.